Welcome to the Saturday Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Delighted to say Ali Graham is more than able deputy today for Tam McManus. You can get a striker who's not reliable. Why not go for one that is reliable and can hold the ball up and bring the midfield into play? And that's what Ali's going to do today, fingers crossed. Lots to talk about. We'll hear from managers and players ahead of the three fixtures tomorrow in the Scottish Premiership. We'll also keep you up to date with what's been happening today in the Scottish Premiership, because right now, obviously, we're looking at three games. Rangers against Livingston, Ross County take on St Johnstone, and we also have St Mirren against Dundee, and Rangers leading by a goal to nil at the moment, Ali. And on the evidence of that first 45 minutes, as ever, VAR never too far away. They've had a couple of, one goal disallowed from Cifuentes, but other than that, you're looking at them and you're expecting them to bounce back from what happened last week against Kilmarnock.
Well, for the time I walked in the door, Peter, I was told it was 2-0. Then a minute later it was 3-0. Then it was back to 2-0. Then it was 1-0. So I didn't really know what was going on. But no, I think you're right. I think Rangers had to again come out the blocks the way they done the other night there. But that's a worry. If they don't go 2-0 up, do the fans get on their back again? Like the other night there when they really should have put that team to bed. If it wasn't for really great goalkeeping and a couple of sitters that Rangers missed, then they would have been sailing into the next round. But Martindale was at the game. I seen him on the TV sitting there taking down notes. Obviously looking at how much space Barisic had up there at left hand side. So I don't know if he's done his work there. Was it Lammers that scored?
Yep.
Well, he did miss a tremendous chance the other night there. So maybe that'll do his confidence a bit of good.
Turner's given Ross County the lead at Dingwall against St Johnstone. Malky Mackay, I think, will want to try and make sure that it's not hear him, scare him down to the last game, possible playoffs, to stay in that league.
Oh, that was great stuff last season, I must admit. And as you know, Peter, I'm not a fan of the playoffs. I like the old-fashioned 2 up, 2 down. But maybe I'm a dinosaur, but that's the way I like it. If it's over the season, I mean, we can go into the stuff where, Ross County have got to wait 2 or 3, 4 weeks to play. Thistle were on the momentum, and I'm sure Big Malky will not want to go through that again. But they done well at Celtic Park last week. Maybe could have been a goal or 2 up, but then obviously Celtic come back and beat them 4-2. I know it's early in the season, but that's a big game already for St Johnstone and Ross County.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, on YouTube you can post your messages on your team, what you think of them, anything that's bugging you in Scottish football, and if you hit the subscribe button you can join the football family. Hi to Paul Brady, who joins us watching the programme today. Near and far, we get lots of messages from people who love the Saturday programme and of course want to keep up to date with what's happening with our Monday football show and our Friday football show, and there's a lot more content coming up on PLZ Soccer right across our website and our YouTube channel, so hopefully you can stick with us for that. Joe Shaughnessy left St Mirren. He's at Dundee, scores an own goal. St Mirren leading by a goal to nil, and I think there's a fair bit of injury time there too, but we're fast approaching the end of the first half there. I think everybody's expecting Stephen Robinson to do much the same as they did last year.
It's just, Peter, you sent me there a couple of times at Smiza Stadium. It's fantastic. It doesn't do it justice on the TV when you're watching it. It looks pretty open. But when you're there, the playing surface is excellent. And the St Mirren fans get right behind their team. They're really supportive of them. But I must say, Trevor Carson and Shaughnessy, I think Big Carson was getting more stick today than Shaughnessy was. And then Shaughnessy's the one that turns the ball past him into his own goal for a 1-0 lead for St Mirren. Yeah,
so it's all 1-0 at the end of the first half. Up at Dingwall it's 1-0 now, and half time between Ross County and St Johnstone. We'll hear from our reporter Kerry Pollock just shortly. Alison McConnell is out there at St Mirren against Dundee. Still that solitary goal, the own goal from Shaughnessy, and Lammers has scored for Rangers, leading by a goal to nil. Adam Binney will give us his thoughts in the first 45 minutes very shortly as well, as soon as that half-time whistle blows. It is PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Not only are we in the Premiership, we'll look at the Championship, League 1, League 2 and what's been happening down south, and some of the stories that have caught our eye across European football as well. Airdrieonians 0, Partick Thistle 1, Ayr United 1, Inverness Cally Thistle 0, Dundee United 0, Dunfermline 0, Queen's Park 1, Arbroath 0, and Wraith Rovers 2, Greenock Morton 1. So that's how it looks in the Championship. A league that you are really excited about, Ali.
I think it's at times the best league in Scotland, Peter. I just think every single team can beat each other. It makes it more exciting. Me and Blair done the preview for it. We were struggling to kind of pick who was going to come out in front. Obviously, the D United coming down, they're the favourites. But I see it's 0-0 at the minute. You know, them at home, they've got to win their home games, or the fans will get right on top of Jim Goodwin. They got off to a bad start in the Viaplay Cup, but they had a good win last week against Arbroath, so they need to keep going, because if you're not at the top, in the top two anyway, I think the fans will let them know.
Yeah, Alloa 0, Stirling Albion 0, Annan Athletic 0, Montrose 3, Cove Rangers 0, Falkirk 0, Edinburgh City 1, Queen of the South 0, and Kelty Hearts 0, Hamilton Accies 0. I think the Accies will be hoping they can somehow bounce back into that championship.
I think, yeah, the manager's got a bit of experience now. I think he knows what it takes to be in there, but that's a tough league as well, Peter. There's a lot of good teams in that league as well, you know, and Stirling are flying up there as well, aren't they? They're doing really well. Nala had a good victory, about 4 or 5 goals last week. Yeah. So there's goals in that league as well, so it'll be difficult for them.
Into League 2, Clyde 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 1, Dumbarton 0, Spartans 0, Forfar 0, Elgin City 0, Peterhead 0, Stenhousemuir 0, and no goals between Stranraer and East Fife. And it looks as if St Mirren have now gone 2 goals up on Dundee, and Elmandron has scored that goal, and again, no surprise for anyone now, because of not only the way they went about their business last season, but I think he's a manager that, you know, as we get to September, October, November, chairman, chief executives, owners get a little bit jittery, suddenly start sacking managers, as they did last year. He's a man that they should be looking at, I think.
You think they'll be in the hunt? Teams will be in the hunt for
Stephen Robinson, definitely.
I think he's a good manager. I think he's a man manager. I think, you know, when you go there and you can get behind the scenes a wee bit, Peter, and you hear him speaking, you know that he's got the respect to the players. And I think that's very important. Although I will say the skipper's missing today, so that's, if they're going to hang on and win that game, it's a good win, because I really like him. I think he's a great player. Yeah,
how do you think Tony Docherty's going to fare in this division? Because the remit is just quite simply keep them in it.
That's exactly what it is. Strachan's still got a wee bit in the background up there. I think he'll help him. I think it was time for him to go out on his own and try it. But, you know, Dundee, you know, it's a bit of a club where they've no great with managers, are they, over the past few seasons. So it'll be very difficult for him, but I hope he does okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, hi to Gary, who's out there in Portland, Maine. Good to have you with us. Danny as well, saying Livingston are struggling to get out of their own half. And John says the referee is having a howler at Ibrox. Well, I'm sure we're going to be looking at some of those decisions over the course of the next couple of days and assessing them, because what we are looking for this season is, I think, Ali, less talk about the VAR, which has been an absolute nightmare towards the end of last season.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, even the one at Ibrox the other night there, I don't even think the guys that were on the camera or whatever watching it on TV, I mean, the Servette players threw their arms up right away, didn't they, and claimed for a handball. Could he have headed that away? Slight deflection off of Barisic. I think it's pretty harsh, but that's the rules now, Peter. So if the ball hits your hand and your hand's lifted at all inside the box, then you've got a chance of getting a penalty kick. And I don't go by people saying, you know, we can defend well because all they do is cross the ball into the box. As an ex-centre forward, and Tam sits here with you as well, that's what you're wanting, because any side of that part, the ball's coming into the box, you can get a corner, an own goal, you can get your head on it and it can break for someone just hanging outside the box for a shot. So get the ball into the box and you maybe get penalties, especially when VAR's about.
Yeah, and there speaks a man who knew how to get the odd penalty or two round about the penalty box. That's where you make your money. Okay, lots of people obviously asking us about the situation that we are developing here at PLZ Soccer. We are bringing you more programming, variety to it as well, different styles of programming that hopefully you're going to enjoy over the course of the next season. Not only the football show, but other programming that we're bringing to you. Some of it hopefully you will like, and we'll have exclusive one-to-ones, as well as a few journalists offering their take on the burning issues of today as well. So there's a fair bit of variety. Just need to give us time, hit that subscribe button and let it all roll out in front of you, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Across our social media, I can tell you, There's every possible bit of information we can give you across our social media channels on the games, not only in the top flight in Scotland, the divisions below it, and in the English Premier League as well. And of course, thanks very much. I mean, I know some people do miss the live shows Monday and Friday, but there's a lot of things coming up, including European football, to look forward to on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. So you will get more than a few chances to air your views on our live feed as well. So we've given you what's happened across the Scottish divisions. It finished Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 1. Nottingham Forest made a real good go of it. Arsenal, I think on the basis of who he signed, Mikel Arteta will want to go a little bit closer this season without their bottle crashing in that final quarter.
Well, the last 15-20 minutes, Peter, I think, Forest get back into the game, especially watching Man City last night. Haaland again off the mark, couple of goals, 3-0 win. They looked absolutely awesome. I mean, that guy's just a machine, and the ball drops in the box, he seems to be there, and it's not only all types of goals, headers, tap-ins and spectacular ones. So Arteta had to get a win today, and I think that's the most important thing for them. Although I think one of his signings went off injured, just got into the second half. I don't know whether it was his calf or his knee. Might be a serious one, but he's got a big enough squad there, and he really needs to keep everyone fit and hopefully put one on Man City this season. Yeah,
Man City winning 3-0 against Burnley. Arsenal 2-1 against Nottingham Forest. Only goal in the English Premier League at the moment is Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Luton Town 0. But in the Scottish Premiership, half-time, it's Rangers 1, Livingston 0. And I think the Rangers fans will be demanding not only more goals, but a kind of as we go through the weeks, an understanding of the way he wants this new side to play.
Absolutely, they've got to gel quickly. The Rangers fans, the last couple of games, haven't been happy. They've started well the other night there, as I said, but they have to go and they have to capitalise on the mistakes, and they have to score more goals. Once you start to go through the game and you're not get that second goal, Peter, the fans get on top of you. And some of these guys might not have experienced that before, playing in front of 54,000 at Ibrox. So that's where they have to take their chances, and they have to get the fans on their side.
Yeah, absolutely. Ross County 1, St Johnstone 0, St Mirren 2, Dundee 0. As the months develop, obviously people will come under pressure. We'll probably wait to the end of the month, Ali, I know you gave us your insight into the Championship, but we're probably going to wait to the end of the month till the window closes, till we offer our hopefully more informed opinion on who we think is going to take the drop. But I must admit, I just cannot see past St Johnstone. I tipped them last year, they escaped. This season I think they're going to be under even more pressure.
You've spoken on the programme a few times about certain people in the Viaplay Cup. Some teams don't come into it, Rangers, Celtics, etc. The start of the league starts at that time. These guys have got to get up to speed. It's as simple as that, and if you're not, and you get into your league programme, you lose your first two games, you get into your third game, fourth game, you've still not got a victory, Peter. You could be points behind your nearest rivals. I think if Ross County win that today, St Johnstone are struggling already.
Yeah, who's your tip to go down? You can give us your view on that on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Lots of people giving us their thoughts. And again, the one thing that I think John's saying, the Rangers game has been terrible, just like last week. Nothing up front. And he reckons Dessers is shocking. The one thing that Rangers fans will be looking at these new signings, they need a little bit of time. I mean, I know that Brendan Rodgers is an experienced coach. At the highest level, he's won trebles with Celtic. So he comes in against, Michael Beale's in against someone who not only has, I think, a bigger budget at his disposal, he's a more experienced manager, and Michael Beale would want to be able to cut his teeth and let his side settle. I don't think he'll get that time. That's why I think this month of August is so huge for them. They're 1-0 up. Needs a second half, a wee bit more positivity from them.
Need goals.
Yeah.
They just need to score. These guys need to gel quickly.
Were you impressed with them in midweek? I thought it was edgy again.
Yeah, I think it was, and I think the shining light for me was Barisic up the left-hand side.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the whipping boy at Ibrox. When it doesn't go right, he's the guy that gets stick, whereas Tavernier scores all the penalty kicks. That's what he does, but he can't defend. So every goal, and a lot of goals that I've seen coming down the right-hand side, is through him. But he doesn't get the same stick as Barisic. So when you're putting balls into the box, it's up to these guys to get on the end of it, Peter. They've got to get on the end of it and make the runs to get in front of the defender, to get a deflection, anything at all. And then obviously the midfield's got to back that up. And I see he's went with a more attacking midfield today than midweek, especially against Kilmarnock the week before. I mean, that was defensive. And I just think he was playing against Kilmarnock last week for a break of the ball, trying to match them for, on that surface, trying to match them for their aggression, and it didn't work. And hats off to Derek McInnes, because he did say it's about time they separated and they try to get points off of Celtic and Rangers, and they went out and done it.
Yeah, Butland in goal, Tavernier, Suter, Balogun and Barisic. As Ali mentioned there, Raskin, Cifuentes and Cantwell in that middle three, and then it's Lammers, Dessers and Danilo. So with that in mind, he's got midfielders there who obviously want to try and impress as much as they possibly can. We will hear from our reporters giving us their first 45 minutes at Ibrox, and of course up at Dingwall and St Mirren as well. So that's all to look forward to, including full time with the managers and players too, who will be giving us their thoughts on the games today. Let's not forget also, with the Scottish Premiership, because of the nature of European football, it's Sunday, where we'll be looking forward to Aberdeen against Celtic, Hearts against Kilmarnock and Motherwell against Hibernian. I was there in midweek watching Hibs. Impressive, 3-1. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but I'm looking at the coefficient, and suddenly you've got Hearts 2-1 down to Rosenborg, well winnable at Tynecastle, and you're hoping that Rangers can see off Servette in the second leg before they start to think about PSV Eindhoven, who I think will see off Sturm Graz.
It's a big week for Scottish football again, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Tynecastle will be buzzing. I mean, they're playing there in a Premier League match is fantastic, but European nights, it must be absolutely amazing. Hibs, they always seem to dig in, Peter, don't they? They dig in for them. When they're struggling a wee bit, they come back into the game, they get the win. I thought Joe Newell was absolutely tremendous the other night there. And of course, Rangers go over with to Servette, where if you're saying if they get an early goal, then they could be right back in it, and then Rangers will need to show their mettle.
Yeah, I thought Rangers should have been out of sight at some point in that game.
The goalkeeper's two tremendous saves, and of course Lammers misses a sitter, so it could have been 3 or 4 easy.
Yep, well, we're hoping all our Scottish sides have positive results, because quite simply we need that coefficient to remain strong, so that we can get teams into the group stages, certainly of the Champions League as well. More points we get, the greater the dispersal of money from Champions League, which actually just filters down to other clubs. I mean, you only have to look at Motherwell, the likes of Aberdeen, Hearts, Dundee United, all welcome a payout if Rangers and Celtic do well in the Champions League.
That's how important. It's really, really important for these teams to get through. We should get behind all the Scottish clubs. You read this, I want them to beat that. No, Peter, let's get behind the Scottish clubs and let's see them getting through. Decent teams. There's no easy teams in these competitions anymore. They're all decent teams. Good to see Shankland's header the other night there, cracking goal. Of course, Joe Newell's goal was the pick of the bunch for me. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. But interesting there, I just seen a wee clip, and I don't know if you've noticed it. At Ibrox, there's a couple of Livingston defenders fighting with each other as one of the players, I think it was Lammers, put it out of the bar.
Yeah.
So they're showing that they've got the mettle as well to try and get back into that game. So Rangers need to go out and score another goal against Livingston. Yeah,
of course they'll be looking for something positive. If they don't get it, then I think as ever you're looking at a few angry fans. Let's find out what happened up at Dingwall in that first 45 minutes. Kerry Pollock is up there for us.
Half-time here in Dingwall, and it's Ross County 1, it's St Johnstone 0. A very dominant display in this first 45 from the home side. Plenty of chances to take the lead early on through Simon Murray and Conor Randall, but it was Kyle Turner that gave his side the lead, the opening goal of the day. He came off the bench for Jan Danda around the 25-minute mark, and then 5 minutes before the half-time whistle, Turner rolled it past Mitov in the St Johnstone goal to get his first goal in a Ross County jersey. Not much being created from the visitors at all, next to nothing really gone on for them in this first 45, but another half still to go as it stands here at the break in Dingwall. It's Ross County 1, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Kerry. She'll give us a full-time report as well. Good news there if you're a Ross County fan, and certainly of the games around the teams that he expects to be near to in that bottom half, possibly. Who knows what Malcolm Mackay can come up with this year. Trying to get players to go up to Dingwall and sign for him has always been his biggest problem, but they've got to try and make sure that they win the games at teams around them. Thanks very much to all the people who are joining us and offering us their tuppence worth on the football. We'll give you the thoughts of Brendan Rodgers and Barry Robson ahead of Aberdeen Celtic. We'll also hear from Stuart Kettlewell a little later on in the show as well, ahead of Motherwell against Hibs. Lewis Miller's been talking yesterday in Tranent as Hibs were preparing for that game, so we'll hear from him. And of course Derek McInnes looking at Hearts against Kilmarnock. He'll give us his thoughts on not only Killie but Hearts, and including that European game where they got that crucial goal from Lawrence Shanklin, and can they take Rosenborg back to Tynecastle and knock them out of the tournament. Thanks very much to Paddy. He says, glad to see the Saturday show back again this season, Peter. Yep, thank you very much for that. And to everyone who joins us and gives us their opinion and has a wee wind up here and there, we will be bringing you as much variety as we possibly can. And one of the things we do pride ourselves on, we're certainly not up against any radio stations who are just totally dominated by Celtic and Rangers bashing. We're going to try and bring you as much as we possibly can from across the leagues, and of course, Ali, you'll be going out to see more than a few championship matches.
Absolutely, Peter. I think it's fantastic, and the good thing about doing the games for you is there's no VAR.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
There isn't any VAR. And just going back to VAR, you mentioned it earlier on there. We mentioned the Ross County McKellies up at Dingwall. Big Malky didn't have his fair share of the VAR last season, and that's exactly what I was thinking about. Every time you were in to interview him, there seemed to be a decision that went against him, so I hope that doesn't happen for this season. Yeah,
and a lot of people obviously got slightly irate by it all, but we thought there was going to be teething problems, didn't realise there was going to be as many. But this year, certainly we've heard the thoughts of Crawford on the VAR and the referees, and how Andrew Dallas is going to be there permanently as one of the VAR referees in the studios. Greg Aitken as well, going to be working hard to try and get a consistency about it. Yes, Hoggy, we are having a dig at other shows which are just turgid, to say the least, on just the same thing week in, week out. We're going to give you as much variety as we possibly can on this programme, not only in the football show in midweek, but some of the stuff that we will be offering you. Hopefully you'll respond to it and tell your friends as well. Thank you very much to William, who says, afternoon Peter, hope you are keeping well. I am indeed. Really looking forward to this season. We want as much football as we possibly can on the channel, and we want to enjoy ourselves with it as well. Let's get the first 45 minutes an assessment of what was happening up there over at St Mirren, I beg your pardon, with Alison McConnell.
St Mirren 2, Dundee 0. St Mirren are well worth their lead here in Paisley after a commanding opening half performance. They opened the game in full control and took the lead after just 7 minutes when Conor McMenamin's cross was turned into his own net by former Saints captain Joe Shaughnessy. St Mirren went on to dominate this game. Greg Kiltie hit the bar before Dundee were offered a route back into the game when a VAR check flagged up Michael Mandron's tug on the shirt of Lee Ashcroft. Zach Robinson's penalty, however, was saved by Zach Hemming, who dived low to his left to push it away, much to the delight of the home support. With 5 minutes of added time at the end of the opening period, St Mirren doubled their advantage just on the cusp of the whistle when Mandron converted Boyd Munn's corner. So it's St Mirren 2, Dundee 0. If this stays the same, St Mirren would go to the top of the league after the first 2 games of the season. All to play for here in the second period. Please stay tuned to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel for all the updates across all the games in Scotland.
Yeah, well done to Ali there, and of course I remember a time, and some of you who do watch this programme will remember a time when St Mirren were regularly playing in Europe, and you know, they had a good manager at that time. They had some really great players in the 70s and the 80s as well, but I think they've got a good manager and some good players this season. They could go top of the league, Ali. When do you say that?
2 games, that's fantastic, isn't it? But do you remember the Barcelona superstar that St Mirren signed?
Yes, Victor, I remember him. and quite a few of the guys have got some great stories about him.
Yeah.
But of course, the key to it all is when you get someone like that in, have you had a player that you played alongside who came from another league, who suddenly you actually realise levels and their ability and their technical skills?
Well, obviously Davy Cooper at Motherwell was one of them. Even Peter Weir at Ayr United, and Peter Weir came down, and I couldn't believe it. I thought it was fantastic, you know. But don't forget, me starting out, the first few managers I had, Peter, were Tommy Gemmell, Big Davy Provan for Rangers, and then obviously Jimmy Nicholl, wee Tommy McLean as well. So guys that were, big in the game, and what a learning curve it was joining these teams with these guys. And as managers,
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we've got another goal, and I think it's up there at Dingwall. Connor Randall has scored, and Ross County, absolutely coasting it now, 2-0 up.
You called it. You said they were going to be under pressure come 3 or 4 games into the season. That's now a difficult task for the manager. Where do they gel now? I mean, getting loan players in, trying to get younger players to gel. Doesn't work. It doesn't work at this level. Before they know it, they with 3-4 games, as I said, and not a victory. When do the fans now start to say you're not the guy for the job? And it's very, very difficult. But after that performance last week against Celtic, I couldn't see Ross County getting beat today.
Yeah, well, there you are. We've got the goals coming in right across the country, and we'll keep you right up to date with what's happening. You can give us your thoughts as well. We love interacting. Ali's big enough and man enough to take a bit of criticism, a wee bit of banter there. And of course, lots of people, what the source says, what are you doing these days, Ali? Of course, you made your millions and decided to settle in East Kilbride.
Yeah.
You still play football with me, it's all good, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's fantastic. Although, I'm not going to take the limelight away from you, Peter, chatting goalkeepers and that, But I've seen it on the YouTube thing there, and you get a bit of stick up for Rangers fans and things, but that's what it's all about.
Well, absolutely. I loved it because we did it for the Jimmy Bell Memorial Cup, and we played the Rangers legends, and obviously you and I play for Dukla. We did miss you at the back, I have to say, because it was 3-3 before it went to penalty kicks. We could have done with you back there.
I'll be quite honest, Peter, when I seen the team, that's how I did they turn up, to be quite honest.
There was 14 of us and about 19 of them.
It's a good number, because usually it's only 9 or 10 is we've got to borrow a team for players for the other team. But no, unfortunately, 2 Saturdays I was doing something different, so hopefully the Sunday games will start back soon.
Enjoying yourself, absolutely. Okay, thanks to lots of people obviously posting nice messages as well. Of course, on a Saturday afternoon we'll be live from 4:45 until 6 o'clock. We'll get reaction from the managers and players as well, so hopefully you will buy into that. And on Monday, Neil Lennon will be with us in the studio, Tam McManus and Ruffy for the football show on Monday as well. So 7 o'clock, you can get it on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, hopefully. And thanks very much to the source who says, good luck, Ali, really good to see you. Lots of nice positive messages to start off the season. Once VAR kicks in and a few dodgy decisions and your team's getting battered right, left and centre, then it starts to get a wee bit edgy, to say the least, on this one. But
I must admit, Peter, when you come back to the other scores and you go through the leagues, I mean, there's not many of my old teams in the other leagues that...
Yeah, how many did you play for?
13, 14 of them. So they've all got a small place in my heart, although I wish it was now, because if I had that many teams I'd have a few more quid.
I was going to say to you that the one thing about it, our record is Chick Charnley with 23.
Absolutely. Was that red cards, or was that...
Well, he's had a few red cards as well, Chick, but I think he had 23, moving from various clubs. Sometimes he was counting the loan deals as well, but he did well, Chick. I can tell you there's a goal down south. Sheffield United 0, Crystal Palace 1, and Odsonne Edouard, there's a name that we all know, and of course it's another year's deal for Roy Hodgson. Age is but a number. His experience kept Crystal Palace in the league last season.
I've always liked him. I've really, really liked him. I think he's great the way he deals with it. I heard his tantrum. He threw a tantrum at somebody on the TV, didn't he? And that was brilliant as well. So I fancy Crystal Palace today, actually. Sheffield United, I think it's a big step up, Peter.
Yeah.
A big, huge step up. And I know these guys get paid thousands and thousands of pounds, and they've got Sheffield United with fantastic support, but they've just not got the money, the buying power of the London clubs. So I really like him. I think Crystal Palace will do okay this season, but obviously their best player had left. I don't know who's filled his boots, but they always find somebody in there to step in. So Roy Hodgson, keep him going for another year after this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he went to Turkish football.
I think he did. Galatasaray.
Yeah, I think it might be for Saha. But in the Championship, Ali, who did you pick to win it? Because at the moment, Thistle are 1-up in Airdrie, Ayr United 1-up in Inverness, Dundee United and Dunfermline, it's a stalemate 0-0. Queen's Park are a goal up in Arbroath, and Wraith Rovers 2-1 up in Greenock Morton.
I think all the teams you've mentioned, I thought they'll be up there, fighting out for the promotion spot, the top 4. I always think Thistle will be there because we've got Brian Graham, 2 tremendous wingers to give him the ammunition. Wraith Rovers, as I said, the manager, he needs to prove that he's a top manager now, and I think Wraith are going to be decent at home. Ayr faltered last week against Morton, who I was surprised with that result. But for me, I still think Dundee United can do it, although they're 0-0. But it's interesting, we're speaking to Blair at the start of the programme there. We've done the Championship preview.
Yeah.
Talking about Queen's Park and the way they're setting their stall this season. They're playing at the City Ground, they call it?
They've renamed it. Yep.
Renamed it, but for other games they'll be going into Hampden Park again when other teams come down with bigger supporters, I believe. So I don't know how that works. 2 different parks. How do you build your momentum at one park when you move into the other one? Plus, as well, this new system they've got where they look at the data on the players that we were speaking about as well. So, I think Queen's Park will be. I know they're a young squad, but there seems to be they're doing something right there.
Well, if I can give you a little bit of insight into the experience and the pundits that I work with, I always remember David Provan saying to me, good players can play on any park, any surface. So I just thought I'd relay that to you.
I totally agree with that, because my thing with Blair doing the preview was that if it's a database system where you pick your team, if Peter Martin's through with the goalkeeper he beat, you've got to either dink him, or you've just got to fire it into the bottom corner.
Well, the one thing I think a lot of clubs are embracing, and they have over the last decade, is that Moneyball situation, where they'll look at the stats on players. Yeah, do you like it? You buy into it?
Yes. Can you imagine guys like Willie Pettigrew, Jimmy Johnstone, all these old players that were fantastic? Where would they be now with this? I mean, every single defence have got a coach. Midfield's got a coach, strikers, you've got a goalkeeping coach, and you've got a fitness guy looking after all these players. So I totally understand what they're doing with. What's the point in using up all your energy? And they'll have that thing on them, tracking them all the time, to tell them when they don't need to use energy and when they do. And I think it's fantastic. I think it's great, and I think it'd been brilliant if they were using it way back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot to be read into it. There's fine lines, especially at the top end. Now, Gary says, Pedro, can you let Ali know he can watch any game on the planet with Tam McManus at his house? And people are wondering whether you live next door to him, because Tam's the type of guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who can get you anything from anywhere. He's literally he's a Del boy on this programme. He's unbelievable. He's got a Russian satellite that picks up everything. Anyway, Rangers, I can tell you, leading by a 1-0 at the moment, but Jack Butland's just made an absolutely fantastic save from Andrew Shinnie that could have actually brought Livingston level in that match. And I tell you one thing, Livingston at home, as many a team has found out to their cost, are very, very dogged. Aberdeen, it was a terrible game last week that Alison watched, but away from home as well, they can be troublesome to you, and Rangers are finding them very difficult to break down.
I thought their big centre forward would have moved. I thought somebody would have taken a punt on him this.
Nobly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought they would have taken a punt on him.
His manager did everything he possibly could to get somebody to take a punt on him.
And then he mentioned he didn't have any money to go and get anybody else, because he's brilliant at that. But no, see that point that Aberdeen got last week?
Yeah.
The macaroni. That's a great point.
Yeah.
I think if you come away there with anything, you're doing really well. But this is when, this part of the game, Peter, where Rangers fans will start to say, wait a minute here.
Yeah.
We need another goal, because this mob are coming back into this. So I can see the save now, and it is a fantastic save. It's a slight deflection. But they need another goal to put Livingston to bed.
Yep, okay. We'll keep you up to date with exactly what's happening on these games across the Scottish Premiership. 3 today, 3 tomorrow as well to look forward to. And of course, there's the not the small matter, the major matter of Championship, League 1 and League 2 in Scotland and across the English Premier League as well. We'll try and keep you up to date with all the goals as they go in down south in the top flight of all the 5 major countries. I think it's fair to say that the English Premier League is by far the most competitive, and certainly when you look at the resources they have to sign the cream of the crop, although one of their best players has gone to Bayern Munich. Were you surprised?
No, I think people were saying, will he stay there?
Yeah. Well, what do you do as a striker? Do you stay for a Premier League goals record, or do you go and try and win yourself trophies?
I think you go and try and win trophies.
Exactly.
I'm part of the old school. I know you agree with me.
Yeah.
The younger ones will say, listen, you can stay there for an odd year and then maybe pick up 60, 70 million quid. He's how much money do you need? I think it's a new environment. Bayern Munich, by the way, with people speaking on social media as if Bayern Munich were just a nothing team. I mean, yeah. Bayern Munich growing up, Beckenbauers, the Müllers, the Hounes, all these people, Rummenigge's, they're all there, and it's like famous footballers. Of course you want to go and try and win trophies, and with him at the top end of the park scoring goals over there, I think he'll win trophies with Bayern Munich.
Well, absolutely. I think they'll dominate as ever in the domestic league.
Is that 11 in a row, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was just about to say to you.
It might be 12.
It's dominated by them, and you know, quite simply, some people say, well, is that healthy? You're in a situation where there's just one powerhouse of a team, and if you look back since the year 2000 here in Scottish football, Celtic have been the real dominant force in the 21st century. Rangers have had that 5 or 6 titles that they've managed to accumulate. You know, stopping the 10 was a big thing for Rangers fans, but Celtic have been the dominant force, and Rangers have to try and work out how they can destabilise their dominance.
Do you think that there's leagues like that in Europe where there's the top 2 teams,
they're all like that,
always one that's running away, so every league's the same as the Scottish Premier League then?
Yeah, that's why I think the English Premier League is by far the most competitive and the most appealing to everyone, because you've got a situation, albeit that Manchester City are now suggesting to everyone that the English League is going the same way because they've got so much money. It's literally a state-run club. They've got a billionaire who can just keep pumping money into them. I mean, by the way, he spent $1 billion to win the Champions League. I know people don't like it, but that's the nature of it. If he hadn't won the Champions League last year, I think some people would have said, wait a minute, Pep, you know, come on, you've spent £1 billion. And it's a crazy situation.
And he still can't even stand in the sidelines with a Man City tie on or a blazer.
Well, he does look cool, by the way, I have to tell you.
So?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're all.
Do you think his rant last night?
I didn't like it.
Right, okay, near the die. I
keep it in house.
Keep that in the dressing room.
Yeah. If he's not happy with the guy who scored 2, one of them just absolutely priceless, where he hasn't even had a look. No. He just instinctively put it into the roof of the net. Yeah. I mean, I think
it was all for show.
I think he's actually just been a wee bit over the top, to be perfectly honest with you. Listen, we're keeping up to date with the goals that fly in across the country, giving you a wee bit that you want to talk about as well. And the source says since Jose Cifuentes' strike was ruled out for handball on the VAR, it's all gone a little bit flat. They aren't creating chances with the same regularity, albeit they remain in complete command of the possession. I don't think anybody can argue about that. We expected Rangers to be in command of the possession, Ali, but it's trying to get that fluency, the entertainment value, the goals, because if you just keep winning games, then the hassles, the pressure is not on you. But he's got games coming up. He's got to beat Servette. Yeah. He's got to then get a situation where they can get past PSV Eindhoven, look towards 30 million minimum in the Champions League. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, September 3rd, Celtic on the horizon.
Big games coming up for them.
Yeah.
I think the fans are a wee bit kind of bemused to what kind of formation they're playing at times. Mm-hmm. If you're relying on width, which Ibrox is fantastic for wide players, surely you've got to have 2 of them. I mean, they've missed Kent, Sakala on the other side, although he wasn't a fan's favourite. But they had a bit of trickery, Peter. They could take guys on, they could get into the box, they could set people up. If they're just relying on Tavernier and Barisic for that, I don't think it's going to work for him.
He is looking for a winger, by the way, I can tell you that. He's trying to get himself a wide player to give him that variety. I can tell you, in down south in the English Championship, a man who plays for Scotland, Shea Adams, has scored for Southampton. 3-3 in that game against Norwich City. Southampton trying to bounce back 1 year down and then coming back. Airdrieonians have got an equaliser against Partick Thistle in the Championship. Gabriel McGill has scored the goal for Airdrieonians. So I can tell you it's Hamilton 2-0 up now away to Kelty. So Ryan Oney is the man who's got the goal in the Championship. We're keeping you right up to date. In fact, League One, I beg your pardon, with regards to Hamilton Accies in the top flight. All we can tell you right now is that Rangers are leading by a goal to nil. They obviously want to try and build on that. But the two other games have got 2 goals apiece. Ross County 2-0 up in St Johnstone. St Mirren 2-0 up in Dundee. Goal for Dunfermline in that match against Dundee United. So it's Dundee United 0, Dunfermline 1. Craig Whiten, that'll be a sweet goal for the man who started out at Dundee. Did you have a little spell at Wraith Rovers, Craig?
I think he did, yeah. But not only that, what we were saying earlier on about the pressure building on Jim Goodwin, the United manager. Few games in, if you find yourself now in the top 2, top 3, you get into September, Peter, then you're under pressure, and the fans will let them know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of those situations that I think will develop rather quickly. There seems to be, Ali, I'm not a big fan of it, but there seems to be a situation now, possibly because of the pressures of social media. There's a knee-jerk reaction to everything, and managers have got less time now to turn things around or to build things, and even more pressure comes from fans who seem to have the ears of chairman, chief executive, owners. I mean, Maurizio Pochettino has just said yesterday in the press that he wants to be able to do the exact same as Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. Give him time, let him build the club. Chelsea are not known for that.
No, absolutely not. The fans do the talking, I'm afraid, Peter. That's the way it works. And a couple of friends of mine in Tams, actually, they're Hibbies. They've sacked every single manager for the start of the season. It's only 2 weeks gone.
Yeah.
Guys that just don't get results, 2 games in, sack him, he's not good enough. That's just the way of the supporter. I mean, there's football people and there's fans. The fans are just so impatient. They want their team to win, and that's the bottom line. If they're not doing well after 2 and 3 games, then they're not going to give a manager time, Peter. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. St Mirren 2, Dundee 1 is the score. Josh Mulligan scoring for Dundee. There's a few players that he's got there that are going to be interesting to see how they perform for Tony Docherty, but they're back in the game, so that one far from over as we we're heading into the final 20 or so minutes of matches. Plus, of course, now, don't know if you're a big fan of this, Ali, some people have been moaning about it. There's going to be more than the fair share of added time now because of substitutions, people feigning injury, ball out of play. I'm a big fan of it. I would stop the clock.
That's what I would do.
But a lot of people are saying, no.
I don't think the referee should be in charge of that. I think when the bog, I think if it's, the ball goes at the park, there's an injury, I think the clock on the left-hand side of the TV should stop.
Yeah.
And I think that should run the game. But I mean, going back to when we were playing football and I maybe scored the occasional goal.
Yeah, when you did your fair share.
We used to just run to the corner flag. Not because we didn't have any fans wherever we were, we could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
And the whole team joined us. And we just walked back, and that was us wasting time. So if you can imagine some of the games with 3 and 4 games in it, there would be 2, 3, 4 minutes then. But it always stopped on, I think the most, 2 minutes, Peter. 2 minutes injury time.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be 9, 10 minutes.
Yep, and I can tell you Cove Rangers have scored. They're now 2-1 up on Falkirk. Paul Hartley, again, I think possibly because there's a more settled board up there and they're not affected. They're just a wee bit away from what I call the madness of the Central Belt. Paul Hartley's been allowed to have the nightmare of last season behind them and try and build something.
It's good catchment up there.
Yeah.
You get kids from Aberdeen, they've got a good, that whole Angus area is there for them. I'm disappointed in Falkirk there. I thought they were going to win the day, plus they were my favourites to win that league, so that's a bad result for them so far.
Yeah, Queen's Park 1, Cove Rangers 1. and Arbroath won. Sorry, Queen's Park won. Arbroath
what
won.
You're basically telling me is then the preview that me and Blair done is just going absolutely out the window.
No, because what happens is, as you know, it's a classic. It's an old line, isn't it?
You said it there. It was like you couldn't wait to tell me.
I know. It's not. The thing I was going to say to you is, it's not how you start; it's how you finish.
Absolutely.
You know, and a lot of people.
I've got a lot of faith.
The source says, I agree, Peter. If a side fakes it, time wasting, it should go against them. I am a huge fan of that. Fans, Papa says, fans pay for 90 minutes of football. You're absolutely right. And by the way, I'll tell you right now what would happen, Ali. The minute you got the clock stopped, people who don't have an injury would just get up, because they know they can't con the referee anymore. I mean,
there's
today...
a lot more of that going on, Peter.
Well,
there's a lot more of that going on.
I'll give you the perfect example. Today I am watching the women's game, which is dominated by male coaches, you know, obviously, you know, trying to enhance, you know, female teams at domestic level and at international level. There are, like England, you know, you can have lots of, and Chelsea have got a female manager, and there's lots of good female managers out there, but they're heavily influenced by the game, the male game, and the antics that go on there. So we're in a situation today where I'm watching Colombia against England. You know, there's people rolling about. England have got a 2-1 advantage. Suddenly it's an extra, oh, I've got an injury. They're wasting time. The goalkeeper takes the ball from one corner of the D, you know, and moves it over to the other.
That's booking, isn't it?
And you're saying to yourself, really, you know, people have paid and they're watching you, effectively cheating. And that's where we are with the game. I hope it doesn't start to really creep in big time in the women's game, because I think there's a lot. This is the embryonic stage of where I think it's really going to mushroom and get bigger and bigger in Scotland as well. I really hope. We don't have the money of the English teams, but I really hope more and more kids and girls start to play it.
Absolutely, fantastic. I think it's brilliant. The only thing for me was the timing of because it's in Australia. You know, I've not watched a lot of it, to be quite honest with you, but I see that Australia are going to play England now, and you don't fancy the Matildas. You think that England will do it?
No, I think England will win.
If I can just tell you a quick story on the time wasting.
Fire away.
Years ago, when big cowboy McCormack, a guy you didn't mess with, he was a manager. He played Allo Athletic at Recreation Park, Clyde. And the ball went into the railway end at Clyde, and I was working for the newspaper, as you know. And one of the supporters, they were winning. It was one each, and they were going for promotion or whatever, fighting relegation. And one of the supporters grabbed the ball and kicked it into the railway. He kicked the ball out the park.
Wow.
So Allo scored a goal, 2-1. And we go down to see Cowboy McCormick, who's raging. And I asked him a question, and he wasn't too pleased with me. I actually thought he was going to stick one in the chin, you know. And I says, Cowboy, it's not my fault one of your supporters kicked the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Into the railway, you know. And he went, fair enough, I think they added on 6 minutes. That's the longest I'd ever been to a game where they'd added on that amount of time. Yeah. 6 minutes.
I know a lot of people are maybe thinking, no, I don't want to, you know, have a situation where you're chasing a train or something like that. You might,
absolutely
you know,
not.
You might.
Frank Sinatra, well, you know, chasing a train, you never gets on it.
Yeah, midweek as well. Yeah, Von Ryan's Express. I remember that movie. I can tell as a goal for Queen's Park. It's Queen's Park 2 are both 1.
As he says, with
Payton.
His face is raging there, as he tells.
Well, the problem is Dick Campbell said, you know, obviously from his point of view, he's wondering if they can avoid the madness of last season, and then when you look back at what they were doing
the season before,
they're in the mix.
There was a time when you and I were speaking to each other and things, and we thought both were going to be in the Premier League.
Yeah,
I mean, it's unbelievable. But as I said, you got there midweek, Peter. It's no pretty, it's no great. They might start to come into their own as the winter months start to come into play. So, you know, I like the park, I like the club, I like Dick, of course, but I just think it's their time.
Yeah. Airdrieonians 2, Partick Thistle 1. Callum Gallagher scored that goal, and I'll tell you, Partick Thistle are one of those sides with, of course, quite a strong fan ownership now. They will be under pressure there, you know, to try and deliver big time. Chris Doolan I tell you, it's Raith Rovers 2, Morton 2 as well in the Championship. Robbie Crawford there getting the equaliser in the Championship. Goals in the second half. The only one that has arrived in the Scottish Premiership is, the game between St Mirren and Dundee. It's 2-1 to St Mirren. Ross County 2-0 up in St Johnstone. Rangers only a goal up on Livingston at the moment. Sam Lammers with the goal in the first half. And apart from that, a lot of Rangers fans will be looking on and wondering about the standards, whether they think it's good enough, whether they can get up to pace. Everton 0, Fulham 1 in the English Premier League, and that is a game where I'm watching Everton this season. They just escaped by the skin of their teeth last season, and I've been down in Liverpool on more than a few occasions in the last year, Ali. I can tell you their stadium looks awesome down by the river, and it's not a stadium that they want to be playing in the Championship.
Absolutely not. So see, when you were speaking earlier on there, Peter, about Man City, the Arsenals, the teams at Man United, the teams that are going to be at the top, do you think there's just everyone's the same below them? Like every team, they're just battling it out not to be in that relegation zone? Yeah,
there's a middle section where I think some teams, and I was at the final between West Ham and West Ham, who did they play in the final? That is outrageous that I can't remember. They wear purple in the Conference League final. Who did West Ham play? It's Fiorentina.
Yes,
that's who it was.
Yep.
Fiorentina, and Bowen scored the winner. There are certain clubs who are absolutely buzzing to get into the Conference League and the Europa League, and they can earn money there, not as much as they earn in the Premier League, but they can still earn money and get a bit of silverware. For West Ham to win a European trophy, they've been in a few European finals in the early 60s and 70s. They won, I think, the Cup Winners' Cup in 65. But to win it there against Fiorentina, thanks to Papa who says Fiorentina, it was on the tip of my tongue, and I was there. But there are some teams that really enjoy in that middle section, knowing that because the first four is Champions League, the next section you've got is Europa League and then Conference League.
For the positions.
Absolutely.
I was reading on social media the other day there about Davy Moyes, and he's still getting stick off the West Ham supporters. He just won a European trophy because of the situation with Bowen, maybe signing an extended contract. Another couple of guys can putting herself out there for the club. They're no signing a long-term deal, and he's still getting stick.
Yeah, absolutely. For what he's achieved there and keeping them in the division as well. They've signed Alvarez from Ajax. He's a good signing. They're trying to get McTominay. They're trying to get Harry Maguire as well. Yeah. So
putting a good signings together there. Although I did read today that McTominay's staying at Man United,
which is a blow, because I think they were up at up at 30 million for him as well at one point.
A good signing for him, really good signing.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to play regularly.
Not near there. Do you choose going to play regular, or do you stay at one of the biggest clubs in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I know Steve Clark in the early days mentioned that he wanted players to be playing regularly before he'd consider selecting them, and then Steve, after a few months, thought, I think I'll backtrack on that one because it's just not the best way to look at it.
And sometimes it did work because McTominay's actually come back onto a game and he's been playing instead of centre half.
McTominay for Scotland's been brilliant.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, driving force.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Fraser was probably the exception to the rule.
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe so, because somebody's back on it.
I'm not having any of that, by the way. Unless you're Gareth Bale and you want a couple of games off, but anybody who turns their back in your country, come on, show a bit of mettle. So lots of people giving us their thoughts this afternoon. Great to have you with us talking about that, and also we'll keep you up to date with some of the games that are taking place right across the country. In the Scottish Premiership, 3 games today, and we can look forward to, of course, what's happening tomorrow in the Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen against Celtic, Hearts against Kilmarnock, and Motherwell against Hibernian. And I watched Hibernian in midweek, and I'll tell you, it's the first season where I think some clubs have actually thrown a bit of money at it. I think it's something like 600,000, 700,000 for Venti. That's good money. He's got. By the way, Lee Johnson's got big backing.
Absolutely, and the players really did dig deep for him again, and they seem to do it, they seem to like him. I've done a couple of interviews for yourself, Peter, and I think he's great. He comes across really well. I just think...
Johnstone?
Aye, I think he's really good to the way he comes across, the way he promotes his club, the way he speaks. He's always positive, but that turn I don't know if he meant it or no, but for Vetti's goal.
Yeah,
Lafondre's turn in the box. I mean, that was different class, you know, and they totally deserved it. And, you know, I just like, a wee bit disappointed in the crowd. I thought the crowd should have turned out, obviously.
Yeah.
They went for it at 2 each against St Mirren the week before, and then obviously St Mirren went up the park and scored. So, but
13,000's not bad. They should have had a full house.
I think so.
Wraith Rovers have scored 3-2 against Morton.
Right, so I'm back in again.
You're happy. You're back in again. Suddenly, you know. Don't forget, Ali, because of the nature of Scottish football. 1 minute you can be a tactical genius, and you know people are saying, "Yeah, Ali knows what he's talking about." But then 10 minutes you're a donkey.
Absolute dud.
It's exactly that. I don't mind that. That's the joy of it all.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. You know, when you're looking at the teams that are in there, Dundee United rightly should be the favourites to try and bounce straight back. But any games that they lose at home, suddenly you'll hear the fans and the wrath of the fans towards the manager.
Yeah, they've done it already, haven't they, with Spartans?
Were you surprised when he got the job so quickly after Aberdeen, Jim Goodwin?
No, I wasn't, because I think no, I wasn't. I just think he promotes himself that way, and I think maybe some people would have thought he was the right fit. He's a bit like, for me, he's a boardroom manager. He can speak well. He likes all that kind of stuff.
I've been speaking to people who are desperately trying to get in, you know, for their first job, or have had a little taste of it, and maybe didn't get the rub of the green, who want a chance. And they think that maybe it's just the same old faces that are just going round the houses.
Yeah, so where's Jack Ross at the minute? He's down working with a Premiership club, I believe.
Yeah, Jack Ross.
Chance a few clubs.
By the way, you can't sack a manager after 7 games. Come on,
not at all. No. But as you say, where are the United going to be after 7 games, Peter?
Yeah.
Where are they going to be?
And I can tell you, Shamal George has just denied Seema at Ibrox. Although, I'm hearing from more than a few people that Dessers has not really had a good game today. I think people are too quick to judge. Some players, Ali, have to come and realise the nature of our game. Strong, physical to a degree. It's a good bit of good football played, but you have to be at it. You have to be at it in every game,
you have to be ready.
Especially if you're playing for Rangers.
Yeah, you have to be ready. Tommy McLean once says to me, I signed for Motherwell way back in the early 90s, Peter, and we played Rangers at Fir Park.
Yeah, Danilo scored for Rangers 2-0 now.
2-0. Yeah. There you go then. Well, that's another one of his big signings, so he's come off and done it. But Tommy McLean said to me, first impressions last.
Yeah.
First impressions last as a footballer, and if you go out onto the park and the fans take to you right away, then they'll take to you.
Yeah, they'll give you some time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, just don't get me wrong, he scored the other night there, although I don't know if it hit his shin or his knee or whatever. But
I couldn't care what part of your body it goes in. It's a goal.
Not. As soon as it hits you and it goes into the net, it's your goal.
Yeah.
So you go down in the history books as a goal. So I think the fans need to be a wee bit more patient with him.
Yeah.
Because he might just turn in a great performance in the next game.
Your man Barisic with a great cross in there for that goal.
Dream come true for me. An absolute dream come true for a striker.
Yeah.
And by the way, these guys don't even need to look.
I think
put it in the Swanee.
I think sometimes, if anything, and I don't think it'll be the same case now with the type of player that Rangers have bought, but there are some occasions last year where I watched Barisic put in a ball that a real striker would just, they'd love it.
Do you do what I do, sit on the couch and go like that?
That's a goal. I just think, go on. Yeah, because I always remember with players and great strikers, I mean, it just sounds stupid, but we were playing 6-a-sides the other day there, and I must have hit about 6 or 7 wide of the mark, and Chris Boyd said, at least you're still trying.
Yeah.
And I remember John Robertson at Hearts said, he only ever played from the penalty spot to the 6-yard box, because that's where they score goals. That was his business.
Yeah.
Score goals. So when Barisic puts it in, I'm looking at him saying, if you're a striker worth your salt, it's like McCoy would get across so many people. If it's in the air, Haley, bang.
Yeah.
So that's the generation where I looked at Rangers teams and they would have lapped it up.
Where the generations maybe changed a wee bit is when you're playing with 2 strikers, because when I played it was 2 strikers and you always worked with each other. You knew who was going front post, back post. You knew when to leave it, when to dominate, play a 1-2, spin somebody. But there just seems to be one striker up the park now. This seems to be the latest fashion. So you still have to get guys in the box, and honestly, Peter, come on, if you've got Barisic down the left or Tavernier down the right, if you've got James Forrest or Jota used to do it down the right for Celtic, Maeda maybe no, because he cuts back onto his right foot, But as soon as you see these guys hitting the byline, I mean, he's that quick that some of the guys can't even get into the box at Celtic Park.
Yeah.
So you have to get into the box.
Here's a question for you. Have you enrolled in our Premier League predictor yet?
I was gone until you started looking at the Championship.
Well, I was going to say to you, we've got it on the app.
Yeah.
We've also got it on the website. All you have to do is enrol, put your predictions in. It's a right good night out at the end of the season, Ali. That's all I'm telling you.
I like a night out.
I've got Rangers to win 3-0 today. I've got Ross County to win 3-0, and I've got St Mirren to win 2-1. This could be an absolute howitzer of a day for me in the predictor if Rangers score another one and Ross County bang in a third.
But did Ruffy and Tam not put the same scores in as you?
They did copy me on a number of them, I must admit, but I don't care as long as we start to move up that table, because there's a few guys at the top of the predictor who will be giving us pelters shortly. And I had one of my mates calling us yesterday as if to say, by the way, I just thought I'd enlighten you, I will beat you at this. So
well, it's getting a bit serious, Peds.
Yes, absolutely.
I like
I'll
do that tomorrow when I got up the road and I'll look at it for next week. Absolutely.
I'm interested to see what your predictions are and where you end up in the monthly.
And tell the viewers that whatever I predict, do the opposite.
If you are a lover of football, of course, we did mention to you the Women's World Cup is ongoing, and it's now going to be England playing Australia, and it's like the Ashes in football. And over and above that, we've got Sweden against Spain for the right to play each other in the final. Who's it going to be in your books? Some people have enjoyed it. Obviously it's getting bigger and bigger, and we will be bringing you our very own women's football show coming up starting this week, where Kerry Pollock will be with Alison McConnell and a special guest. We'll also have a new programme called The Journos, and we're going to bring you European football show Monday and Friday. Hopefully you're going to enjoy that. We're live on a Saturday afternoon 3:45 for the half-time scores, and then the full-time results with reaction from managers and players. So with that in mind, do join us. Do hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel, and you're going to get more than your fair share of quality. Of course, let's not forget one-to-one exclusive interviews on the way as well. I think there's a number of them in this other new programme that we've got coming that you are going to enjoy. And across the social media, we've always got competitions, quizzes, and lots of things that I think will really test your knowledge of football. I like a wee quiz on the football. There's a cracker coming up tomorrow, Ali, on our TikTok and Facebook. If you get a chance on PLZ, I've posted 10 pictures of legends of the past.
Right.
And it's just quite simply, can you name them?
Right, okay.
So there's 10 of them, and I'm going to text you tomorrow and see if you have got the ability to name, and you should actually, if I'm being honest with you.
We're kind of similar in the old favouritism, football players for
and they're
European
no,
British.
10 Scots. Yeah, and they are from, I think, 70s, 80s, 90s. I've tried to spread it across 10 of them, really good ones as well. But you need to know your football. If you don't get 10 out of 10, I'll be amazed. Let's go for Rangers, and it's 3-0 now, and Seema has got the goal. So 3-0, Ali.
Well, that's guys that were getting a wee bit of stick, wasn't it? The fans weren't really, thought they maybe weren't up to it. 2 of them have scored now. That'll do their confidence a world of good. Yeah. That takes them into this game next week, doesn't it? With a good win behind them.
Yeah, it's not finished yet, and Servette will have a number of players back. But I just thought in that first 25 minutes, Rangers, as well as getting the goals, they should have been out of sight, and suddenly there's a wee sniff for this side now. And they're no mugs, although people are looking and saying, they should be beating everybody in Swiss football. Swiss football is good football, they had a good season there last season, and they've got aspirations of making it into, the group stages.
Absolutely, as well, and don't forget, the away goal doesn't really count as much as it did years ago now, so 2-1, it's not the away goal doesn't count as double anymore, Peter. So
yeah, just out of curiosity, Ali, Dundee United, I think, making heavy weather of the game against Dunfermline, the last thing they want is to be under pressure. They want to be up at the top end of that table.
They want to be top.
Yeah.
They're in the top 2. They don't want to be any further away than that. And sometimes you get, there's been a lot of talk of the results. See early doors in that Via play with the Spartans game, and then obviously Partick Thistle going up there and beating them as well, Peter. Sometimes at home you feel the pressure more. Maybe the United are going to be a team that like to go away from home. Sometimes you're getting too much stick off your home support. It's good to get away, because some clubs, the away support's different from the home support.
Yeah. And
they get behind you a bit more. But you like to try and make your home park your fortress. But if this is a big... Did Tam not tip Dunfermline today well this season, by the way? I think.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Dundee United don't have Ross Docherty, their captain, but there should be more than enough.
There should be more than enough to beat Dunfermline. I mean, I know that he got a couple of experienced guys in just on the eve of me and Blair doing the Championship preview about it to sign 2 players, so... But Dundee United still be good enough to win that, and if they don't win that, then they're going to find themselves sitting mid-table. Yeah, fast approaching full time across the country. It looks as if Rangers are going to get that confidence-boosting win ahead of the return leg against Servette. 3-0 against Livingston today. A few moans and groans, but when you score goals and you win games, that can change everything. Ross County 2-0 up in St Johnstone, and St Mirren 2-1 up in Dundee. So Stephen Robinson and Alison McConnell mentioned that Stephen Robinson's side could go top of the table, which is fantastic to see at the start of the season for them. Partick Thistle certainly at this moment we're wondering whether they're going to have anything from this match against Aironians. They're 2-1 down, and as we mentioned there, Dunfermline still holding on to that 1-goal advantage up there at Tannadice in the Championship. Some of the key games you can give us your thoughts on, not only now but of course as we head towards the end of the game. We'll hear from the managers and the players on this show right through till 6 o'clock tonight. We're here every Saturday throughout the season, and hopefully you'll tell your friends and hit the subscribe button as well to give us your thoughts on the matches. And we'll look ahead, coming up in the next half hour, we'll be looking ahead to Aberdeen's match against Celtic up at Pittodrie. We'll give you the quotes from Brendan Rodgers and also from Barry Robson. We'll hear from some of the other managers involved. Hearts against Kilmarnock, Derek McInnes has been speaking this week. Motherwell against Hibernian. We'll hear from Lewis Miller and also the Motherwell manager Stuart Kettlewell. So that's what you've got to look forward to this week. We'll try and bring you as many different programmes as we move forward on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and our social media. Download the app and you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. It's as simple as that. So, full time, Queen's Park 2, Arbroath 1. Dick Campbell's side not getting the points there. Unlucky, yeah. And it's at the wee part of the wee Hampden. Played at the wee Hampden, they'll move into the big Hampden shortly and play against some of the bigger teams. And I can tell you, there's another goal here with Falkirk who've got an equaliser against Cove Rangers, 2-2, right to the death. Yeah, I'm not surprised at that. I thought they'd have done better today and went with the win. I thought they would have got the win today, but Cove, as you say, under Paul, maybe a wee bit underestimated this season, I think. I still think they'll do okay. But not as good as what they were doing, obviously. They were flying high at one point, weren't they? Yeah, Jordan Allen with the late equaliser there. Is that going to be the final goal in that match? We'll keep you right up to date with what's happening right across the board. This is the football show on a Saturday afternoon. Ali Graham here today. Ali likes to get out to the Championship games and the Premiership matches, but I think I'm not sure what he's doing today, Tam McManus. He's not an uncle. I think he's doing something with the family. But every now and then, you're an able deputy, let me tell you, Ali. His nephew got called Tam. And the funny thing is, I can tell you, Rangers have just done me in, by the way, 4-0 now. Just as I was hoping for an exact one. Kieran Dowell has scored. You were talking about Dowell. He scored. Well, they were giving him pelters during the week. He says he'll no do. So that's all the guys that they're giving stick. I've watched stuck one in the back of the net. Yeah. So that'll do their confidence a world of good. Yeah, I didn't think he was an attacking midfielder, Peter. I thought he was a holding midfielder, so he's obviously got himself into the box. Well, the other thing I was going to say to you as well is it's 4 guys who have just signed, in the summer. Confidence. And they've got their first goal for Rangers. Great stuff. Yeah. Good for Rangers. It's 4-0 in that match. So it'll be a good night for some of the Rangers fans who can rest easy. That's 3 points. Oh my God, must be getting cold now. That's 3 points in the bag, and they really just have to try and pick up momentum, confidence. You know what it's like. Ross County 2, St Johnstone 0. Big win for Malky Mackay's side. Brilliant one, and that puts McLean under pressure up there as well. These are the ones that you mentioned earlier on, where Malky takes teams run about. He knows for a fact, and managers try and say to you they don't. They look at the quarter, they look at the teams they're playing against, they look at the teams that they're going to be fighting, from the bottom 6 downwards, who they're going to be up against. And if they can get points and pick up points against them, then they're in for a good season. Yeah.
Who did you pick? Well, William says, I feel your pain, Peter. I had Rangers 3-0 as well. So, that sums it up in the predictor. If you want to, go onto our website, download our app, hit predictor, and enrol in our league this season. We're going to give you some fabulous prizes on a monthly basis. And then at the end of the season, the winner overall will basically pick their partner and come as our guest to the PFA Player of the Year Awards.
I'm in.
I thought you might be.
I thought you might have got me in anyway without me going in the predictor.
You will be this season, by the way. I think it's 22 appearances and you're there.
I thought you were going to say 22. That's been different.
7 minutes injury time in that match between St Mirren and Dundee. 2-1 at the moment. We'll look ahead to Aberdeen against Celtic. We'll hear the quotes of Barry Robson and Brendan Rodgers. And we'll also look at Motherwell and Hibs and Hearts and Kilmarnock. And I can tell you full time is Bournemouth 1, West Ham United 1. That's a full time which I think David Moyes will not be too happy with at that point. Certainly you look at West Ham, and we hope this season, fingers crossed because of the Scottish interest, you want them to go further up the English Premier League. And I can tell you Brighton 4, Luton Town 1. That's a good emphatic win there for Brighton. Always seem to be able to produce a really good side with players that some people might not have heard of. Sheffield United 0, Crystal Palace 1. Odsonne Edouard with a winning goal in that match. Incidentally, Newcastle United against Aston Villa, 5:30 kick-off, something to look forward to.
Oh, fantastic, isn't it? Some of the big games now and the players that they've signed, and you're looking forward to that. Will Villa do okay this season? Will Newcastle take that next step? Eddie Howe's been fantastic for them, don't get me wrong. The money's getting ploughed into them as well, Peter. But he still went out and signed homegrown talent, didn't he? Signed guys, that were Newcastle supporters as kids.
Yeah.
I love watching them. I think their fans are brilliant. Starved their success, but they turn up every week. I think it's brilliant.
If they win one piece of silverware, that city will go bananas. Yeah, the city will go bananas. It's like that. Full time coming in the matches across Scotland and England. We'll digest the full time scores and get your thoughts as well. Rangers 4, Livingston 0, fast approaching the full time whistle there. Ross County 2, St Johnstone 0. That match is finished now. We'll hear from Kerry Pollock shortly. And St Mirren 2, Dundee 1, with 7 additional minutes added on in that match. That's the nature of football these days. Elsewhere, it looks as if it's a good win for Arsenal, 2-1 this morning. Bournemouth 1, West Ham 1, Brighton Hove Albion 4, Luton Town 1, Everton 0, Fulham 1 is in injury time. Sheffield United 0, Crystal Palace 1, and as we mentioned, Newcastle against Aston Villa is 5:30. And then in the Premier League, Brentford against Tottenham without Harry Kane for the first time in a long while, and Chelsea Liverpool are the 2 matches to look forward to tomorrow. 2 absolute humdingers down south. And let's not forget Aberdeen Celtic, Hearts against Kilmarnock, Motherwell against Hibs to look forward to. And we'll also, with Ali, get his thoughts on the second leg of those European ties, because we really want to see Scottish clubs do really well. Everton's, it's an opening day defeat for them. They've lost by 1-0, and again at Goodison against Fulham. Everton 0, Fulham 1.
Good result for Fulham. Coming up for London, obviously. Their stadium's just been done up as well. Haven't they built that big stand? That'll be open this season. And you're saying that Everton's park looks absolutely tremendous. The fans, they've lived in the shadow of Liverpool for all these years, haven't they? And they want to try and win something as well. Not since when? Since McCall was playing with Everton and Sheedy and all that. Is that the last time they actually won a trophy? Yeah, I mean it's been a long while. I mean I can remember Everton winning the English First Division. And it was Sheedy, it was Peter Reid in the middle of the park, and of good course side. Neville Southall. Who was a tip-top goalkeeper. Have you ever met Neville Southall? I've never met him, but I loved watching him. I've interviewed him. What a character he is, by the way. He calls a spade a spade. He's an absolutely brilliant character, Neville Southall. But you're right. I mean, but what do the Everton fans but they want to see the winning team. Is he the guy to make them win? Is he the guy? What's their expectations for this season? Stay up to go into this new stadium in the Premiership?
Exactly. Expectations can kill you. Fans' expectations can certainly kill you. Dundee United would have been hoping that they would have been just rolling over every team in that championship and then heading straight back to the Premiership. Well, it's going to be tough for both Dundee sides in their aspirations this season. Dundee United look as if they're on the end of a defeat against Dunfermline at home. Dundee is staring down the barrel of a 2-1 defeat to St Mirren today, and I can tell you it's full time at Rangers. 4-0 at the scoreline. Rangers 4, Livingston 0. He was always going to find it difficult with his side to try and keep them at bay, but this new Rangers side, as we mentioned before, if people are unimpressed when you lose a game and everybody thinks you're 2 games away or 1 game away from a crisis, it's an emphatic win today.
Of course it is. It's 4 goals as well.
Dundee United have just equalised. They've salvaged a draw.
Well, Jim Goodwin's still going, Peter. He's still going, and they're still probably top of the league. But then it's over to the teams tomorrow to play in the Premiership. The pressure's on Celtic now to go and get the result at Aberdeen.
Yeah.
So Rangers have now crept from 9th in the table up to 3rd in the table. St Mirren are at the top. So it's a wee topsy-turvy thing that's happening when you get a couple of wins. And and I know in this game, you've got to string 2 and 3 together to start moving up the league. It's early doors, but it does psychologically do something if you're sitting down at the bottom of that table 2 and 3 games into the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, when you get that win, it is a huge bonus, and that's exactly what's happened at Ibrox. Give us your thoughts on that. 4-0, an emphatic one there for Rangers. And as Ali mentioned there, the table changes week in, week out. Long way to go in this one. Rangers actually, I think, will move up because of obviously the games that are happening tomorrow. Rangers actually will move up to second because of the 4 goals, Ali.
There you go.
With the goal difference, so it moves up to second. Still not enough to displace St Mirren at the top, and great start. 2 wins for St Mirren as we get ever closer. I think we're just into the final seconds of that match, but if it's a 2-1 win for St Mirren, that is a brilliant result for Stephen Robinson's side. Absolutely magnificent. So we wait for the report from Alison McConnell on the table topper St Mirren. We'll hear from Adam Binney on Rangers today. Was it impressive? Was it a performance to match the scoreline, or are there a few players that are worrying the Rangers fans? Nevertheless, a win's a win, and as Gordon Strachan used to say on more than a few occasions, what's the key to becoming a successful manager at the big clubs? Just win, and then win again.
Stephen Robinson's doing that, because I think that's 3 or 4 games on the trot now. I mean, Viaplay, do you think that suited them, Peter, coming in and playing in that competition and then getting into the league games? It obviously has, because they're I don't know if they're flying, but they're certainly winning games. Paddy
Devlin says Stirling Albion to go up to the Championship. Do you buy into that this season?
What was the final score? Did they draw? Did they win today at Alloa?
Well, I'm just going to tell you, because the reason why I've got that kind of an edge to it is I'm going to keep a real close eye on them. Yeah, is because of Darren Young. Yeah, I've got a lot of time for. They won 1-0 against Alloa.
Doing very well. Yeah, I can see them doing really well, although they're up the league. But he's doing exceptionally well as a young manager, and he's a guy that can maybe step up to another club.
Yeah, Paul Brady says I've got the Saints to win 2-1. So have I, Paul, and I'm at this moment just crossing my fingers, hoping that ends up the full-time score there. We will hear from Alison McConnell. If you want to hear from the managers and their thoughts on the games, that's not too far away as well. Managers and players offering their full-time thoughts on the games, and of course right across our social media, not only will we have full-time reports, but you'll get more and more from managers and players on our app and on our website as everybody posts their reports. Let's go up to Dingwall for that good win for Malky Mackay. Kerry Pollock was there.
Full time here in Dingwall, and it finishes here today. Ross County 2, St Johnstone 0. It was Kyle Turner that gave his side the lead, getting his first goal in a county jersey as well. In the first half, after he came off the bench, he got the ball in the back of the net just 5 minutes later. Into the second half, it took Conor Randall just 6 minutes to double his side's advantage with a terrific strike from around 20 yards out. Not much created from the visitors here this afternoon. I'll get the reaction from Stephen McLean ahead of their break next week before they take on Celtic in 2 weeks' time. whereas Ross County are right back in League Cup action next week as they face Airdrieonians here at Dingwall. It finishes here, full time here in Dingwall. It's Ross County 2, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, thanks to Kerry for that. She looks a wee bit as if she was just a wee bit out of sync there. Sorry for that, apologies for that. But Kerry bringing us the scoreline that I think all Ross County fans will be delighted with. We'll hear from Malky Mackay and what his thoughts are on that as well. But I'll tell you, St Johnstone needs Celtic like a hole in the head.
Absolutely, and you'll see the body language of the manager after this game, Peter, where he's going to be, you know, but his thoughts are obviously on. Not even that, I mean, they're not even kind of creating, does he seem to be creating chances or scoring goals? I mean, that's where you've got to look, and, you know, one thing you've got to always have in your ammunition, somebody that can put the ball in the back of the net. Stephen May hasn't done it consistently over the years, and I think that's a problem for them. I think that's the big problem for them. So
yeah, absolutely. I think the scenes that we're hearing from Tannadice certainly, I think, will keep everybody happy with a late. There's nothing better than a late equaliser for Dundee United, especially when it looked as if they were staring defeat in the face,
and especially when it's 25-yarder in the top corner of the net.
Yeah,
you know, that helps a lot. You know, so. That's a wonder goal, and it sometimes takes a wonder goal to get you back into the game.
Yeah, William Smith says, Peter, how many games did the Hearts manager George Burley win in a row in his first season? I think it was 13. I think Hearts
really well.
I think Hearts were flying. I seem to remember. I don't know if it's 13. I'm going to check that, William. But I'll tell you one thing. You know, they were looking as if they were the real deal until Vlad started to suddenly start. Yeah, he suddenly wanted to pick the team and told them basically that certain players couldn't be starting today for various reasons. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, if somebody had to write a book on Vladimir Romanov's involvement at Hearts, you would not believe the lunacy and the phone calls that were made on match day during games to tell the manager to take a player off.
Honestly,
I would love to be the man writing the book.
Was that the era of when managers are actually doing well then and then getting the sack?
Yes.
Because there was a few managers that were doing well.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden you're reading in the paper that they're away.
Well, I always thought John Robertson was a good manager who really had a great chance to do something with Hearts. But again, interference. George Burley, equally so. And of course, the Lithuanian contingent, there's a few that, you know, people warmed to. And I think, you know, Zaliukas was a good defender, sadly passed away. And Chesnauskas, I think they liked him for his trickery as well. Jankowskis up front.
No big Scatchel in as well.
Scatchel, yep. And I think Scatchel's an absolute legend with them. But, you know, there's some players that you look at and you thought, okay, I can understand they're a wee bit better than the standard we have here. But once you get the chairman or an owner starting to dictate who comes on and off, then you know you're in big trouble. It's a great story. It could be a great movie, believe me. Give us your thoughts.
Who would play the part in that, Peter?
Who would play the part of George Burley? Probably Matthew Broderick. And I'm trying. Who plays Vlad? It's a. Do you want to tell you something?
Did you imagine Dick Campbell doing?
No, it's a Terence Stamp. It's somebody. It's somebody who could just put that edge of lunacy on the part. You know, when you're looking for a movie star. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love somebody to write the book on it. Anyway, the Jambles are a long way from that nowadays. We're going to talk about Aberdeen Celtic. We will indeed discuss Motherwell Hibs and Hearts against Kilmarnock very shortly. We'll hear from Adam Binney and get his thoughts on that full time at Ibrox and what was a good win for Rangers, 4-0. We'll hear from Alison McConnell and the manager, St Mirren, in their match against Dundee, a 2-1 win, which is great because they're top of the table. And Paul says, by the way, Peter, what's the points on the predictor for correct scores? I think we did it slightly different last season, but the predictor, if you get an exact score, I think it might be 3 points if you get an exact score. If you get the prediction right, I think you get a point. I know I was sitting in 24th place, Tam was in 70th, so
chance have you got to
well, I think you've got a right good chance of you going it. Let's see, get on it so we can absolutely cane you.
Every game in the Premiership.
In the Scottish Premiership, yeah, it's Premiership only.
Can you imagine the odds on that? You know, if you predicted every single score on that.
Well, suddenly, if you predict every single score correctly,
amazing,
well, not only that, but suddenly you're elevated way out in front. What you want to try and do is try and get as many points as possible early on, and get yourself out in front, and then take it from there.
Just like the league table.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you hit the front, Ruffy hit the front, I think in the final quarter, never looked back. Nobody could catch him. That was last season. But it's going to be interesting to see who makes a real push for it. Get on it if you want to. The predictor is absolutely free. All you need to do is log into, download our PLZ Soccer app, then hit predictor, and you can get through the process of joining us in that league, and you can see exactly where you're placed on the predictor as well. We will hear from Alison McConnell very shortly from that match in Paisley, where St Mirren got a good win. Big win today, despite that goal coming back. It's always good to just hold on for the win. Yeah,
showing their mettle there. They went up in front. Yeah, Dundee come back last week.
Yeah, that's your mum calling you, by the way. It's unbelievable. Go on, what were you going to say?
No, they showed their mettle last week and coming back on that, which was a terrible, terrible surface they were playing on. St Mirren Park would have been excellent today, and they've come back again, but just not got that equaliser, so St Mirren have held on.
Yeah, great win for the Saints. They're top of the table with Rangers in second place. Of course, Aberdeen, Celtic to come, and we will indeed give you the thoughts of everyone on that match up at Pittodrie tomorrow. Aberdeen against Celtic. We're about to see, I think, in that match up there, a Barry Robson Aberdeen side that I think might be more than a little aggressive with the way they're going to go about it this season. If they're a reflection of the manager, he certainly will not tolerate anyone not giving 100%.
Proved that as a player, didn't he? Who did he come on and score against for Celtic? His first touch? Did he take the free kick? Was it Barcelona? Was it AC Milan?
He took the free kick in his first touch. Do you want to tell you something? I think his first touch coming on was at Pittodrie.
So it was
against Aberdeen,
and he scored against Barcelona at Celtic Park. Am I right in saying that?
Yep.
So he knows what it's like to wear the old hoops, doesn't he?
Yep.
So he'll know what's at stake, and he'll want to go out and try and pit his wits against Brendan Rodgers. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for him. He's got backing from Cormac. He's got a great training facility up there, and I'm glad they've given him the job, Peter. I think he's an up and coming manager. Just he needs to try and take something tomorrow against Celtic that are relatively good at Pittodrie.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to everyone who's been calling and giving us messages of support. There's lots of programming to come, and you'll find out in the next couple of weeks lots of different programmes, as well as the football show. PLZ Soccer is far more than just one show. We've got lots of new programmes coming on board, and I think you certainly will enjoy what we have to offer. Lots of exclusives, one-to-ones, and we've got the women's football show coming on. The journalists will offer their insight into Scottish football and beyond. We'll deal with the burning issues in European and world football as well. And right across all of our social media, we'll have features that I think will entertain you, certainly get you engaged, and you can win some prizes as well. So with that in mind, do stick with us. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel, download the app, and look at our website, and you'll see lots of good content on there as well. Okay, before we hear from some of our reporters out there, I want you to cast your eye towards Aberdeen Celtic tomorrow. Paul says 3-1 to Celtic. Celtic will go up there expecting a battle, and of course I'm looking at Brendan Rodgers and his side. This is what he had to say, of course, on the man of the moment, David Turnbull, who's done really well for him over the course of pre-season. David Turnbull did really well. The challenge for him now is consistency and appetite every single day. His standards cannot drop, because when you're at a top club, there's always someone looking to take your place. Now, he scored 2 last week, but what I would say to you with regards to David Turnbull is, they certainly at this moment, building him up and looking for that consistency. There's no smoke without fire. I know this might sound a wee bit ridiculous, but I think they might be getting ready to sell Hatate.
That's what it looks like. I can't see it any other way. The same thing kind of happened with Starfelt going as well, didn't it? I mean, I don't think Celtic were beaten when Starfelt was in the team along with Big Vickers, so Does he put Rocky in there beside him? Does he play Turnbull going forward? My only issue with Turnbull, Peter, is I think he's a tremendous player for 60, 70 minutes. I think he can get you goals. What we were speaking about earlier on, when you've got two wingers and you can just, patrol that D outside the box. When Turnbull picks the ball in there, he can pick any corner of the net. Bottom corner, top corner. He's a tremendous finisher.
Yeah.
But see when he's got to backtrack later on in the game, he can't do it.
Yeah.
Hatate can.
Yeah, and what about Hatate? I mean, I've got a sneaky feeling that there's something afoot. I mean, there's even a little, again, a little murmur about Lila Bada possibly moving on, although he said he's staying. He's happy there. And again, questions have been raised about Joe Hart. Certainly they've got targets elsewhere. I think the Celtic fans are saying, well, wait a minute, we've got Aberdeen tomorrow. The Champions League group stages are looming ever closer. Are you going to make big signings? It's the 12th of August, and there's a good few days left in this transfer window. I still haven't seen big signings. I've just witnessed extensions to contracts, and then of course there's another one coming from Gustav Lagerbeek, who I think signing from Elfsborg, who's coming in. Nawrocki is the centre half who could form another partnership with Cameron Carter-Vickers, but there's nothing really that I think Celtic fans are looking and thinking.
Well, you mentioned Joe Hart, who I think's maybe possibly been at his best. So they need a goalkeeper. They need somebody coming in there that's going to come in and take the gloves off of him. You look at the other two who have maybe been sold the dream. They came to Celtic Park, won the treble, won back to back, and been told that if they do that, if they play well, they'll definitely get a move. And I don't understand how Celtic can't go out and sign a left-sided centre back. I just don't understand it. I don't know how they've got to play a guy out of position. It seems to be a trait in Scotland where you sign guys and you play them out of position. Big Starfelt for me, sorry for going back to him, Peter, but he seemed to be the kind of whipping boy at times as well. And I don't know how, because I think he won 6-7 trophies. I might be wrong in that, I might be wrong about that. But he's formed a great relationship with the big man. He's still playing out of position. And I used to always say, well, Big Carter-Vickers is the main man. He's the guy that's solid as a rock. Yeah. Move him to the left end and play Starfelt at the right. And I just think these young boys as well, Hatate and Abada, have maybe been told that if they do really well, there might be a chance of them moving on. And I think at the start of the season, they maybe thought that they were going to be moving on, and they've not. So there's something happened there, and I don't think Rodgers likes that. When it rocks the boat a wee bit, I think you've seen before with him, I think the guy that's done that is out the team.
The only other thing I would say to you is quite simply that sometimes players look at managers who brought them in. Absolutely. And they think to themselves, well, Ange Postecoglou is gone now. I'm maybe not buying into this manager. It's early days, we'll wait and see. But as far as Aberdeen are concerned, Roos, good goalkeeper. They've bought Nicky Devlin they got Nicky Devlin out of contract from Livingston. Shinnie is there, Clarkson on loan, as ever. Miovski and Duke were stars last season, so they've got players that can cause Celtic problems. I think it's going to be tight. I've gone for 2-1 on the predictor on this, Ali.
Both teams to score then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to think that Celtic will get the win. I think 2-0. I would say 2-0 for Celtic, but I think it'll be quite tight, and I think Celtic will. They get the second goal when they have to. Maeda's been brilliant for me this season. I think he's the man that can do it. And Kyogo's actually changed his game under Rodgers as well. Yeah. When you've seen him kind of doing the offside thing quite a lot and being the last one to come out.
Yeah, off the shoulder.
Yes, and then when the ball broke up the wings, he wasn't offside and then getting into the box. He seems to be doing a wee bit more work. Yeah. Maybe Rodgers has got him working harder as well. He'll work his 70 minutes and then he'll move Maeda into the middle. He seems to be doing that a lot as well, Peter. So I can see the wee man scoring. I just think he started the season absolutely magnificently. Yeah, we're going to hear from Michael Beale on that 4-0 win over Livingston today. We'll hear from Adam Binney, his assessment of the 90 minutes, I beg your pardon, and we'll also hear from Alison McConnell on St Mirren's good win, which takes them to the top of the table. Brilliant for Stephen Robinson. Stephen Robinson, I can tell you, will be coming in as a guest on our show in the near future, so look out for that little special as well.
So we're going to try and get lots of different managers, players, some legends in there as well, just to give you a little bit of sentimentality and looking back with nostalgia at some of the great players and the great games that they were involved in the past. So that's all to look forward to as well. We're talking about Aberdeen Celtic tomorrow. Motherwell against Hibs is another interesting one as well, because Stuart Kettlewell has obviously lost the goals of Kevin Van Veen, and he has mentioned that it's going to be a huge void to fill, but they have to do it.
Well, he's thrown his hat into the new striker for St Johnstone. That wasn't he doing the business there, and he likes him. Sometimes you need a manager that sees something.
Yeah, Theo Bear.
He scored his first game, so he looks a big, powerful lad. Maybe he, as a player, Peter, sometimes you need a wee change. If you go in there and you feel loved by the manager, he's got off to a good start, as I was saying earlier on, first impressions. The Motherwell fans will like him for scoring that goal last week. If he can get another couple of goals, then brilliant for Stuart Kettlewell, because he's hung his hat on him. But having a guy like Kevin Van Veen scoring all the goals is going to be difficult to try and get somebody to follow that.
Well, I'll tell you what Stuart Kettlewell has done. He's just basically said to everyone he's going to be trimming the squad because he thought they had too many players at Fir Park.
Again, we have changed it behind the scenes. Everybody speaks about cutting costs, which is absolutely the case. We had more than 50 players, I think it was, at the football club last season, and I've been a kind of driving force in that. I feel that everybody that's at the football club must have a realistic opportunity to play in your first team. Not being disrespectful to anybody, but for us to run with another 15, 16 players at the football club that aren't pushing to be in your first team, it's not sustainable for a club like Motherwell. So
yeah, quality over quantity.
Totally agree with everything he said. I like him. I think he speaks really well. If you're a 19, 20 year old at a football club and you've not had that chance, is it time to move on? I think it is time to move on and try and build a career for yourself instead of hanging on to a Premiership club. You go elsewhere and learn your trade, because you can always bounce back. Lots of guys have done it. I've done it. You can move down the tables to move back up. And 50 players was that, Peter?
Yeah.
50 players, he said. I mean, it's Motherwell. It's not an American football team. It's a football club, and that's far too many.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to hear from Alison McConnell very shortly as well in her report from St Mirren. Great result for Saints today, and that 2-1 win over Dundee. We'll also hear from Lewis Miller, who's talking about that match, Motherwell against Hibs tomorrow at Fir Park. Really looking forward to that game. What about what was happening over in Paisley? Alison McConnell watched the Saints hit the top of the table.
St Mirren 2, Dundee 1. It can only go downhill from here on in for the St Mirren side, who find themselves top of the table after the opening two games of the Sin's Scottish Premiership. They did all their hard work in an opening period in which they'd established a 2-0 advantage by the break. Former Saints captain Joe Shaughnessy had glanced Conor McMenamin's cross into his own net before Michael Mandron had added a second just before the interval. It was a different Dundee side to emerge after the break. Scott Tiffany was introduced just before the hour mark, and he offered an attacking threat that Dundee had lacked in the opening period. He was only on the pitch 6 minutes when he teed up Josh Mulligan as the Den Park side pulled a goal back. The change in tone and the change in scoreline made for an anxiety around the St Mirren players and around the crowd, and for a period Dundee fed off that nervousness. St Mirren, however, thought they had re-established that 2-goal cushion after Alec Greaves' effort was blocked in the line by Shaughnessy. However, a VAR check ruled that the entirety of the ball had not crossed the line. St Mirren lived dangerously at times, but they hung on to take all 3 points. 2 wins out of 2, top of the league for a day at least. It's not been a bad day at the office for Stephen Robinson's side. Stay tuned to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel for all the player and manager reaction.
Yeah, well done to Ali there. Got a game that certainly was better than the one she was at last week, where it was Aberdeen and Livingston at 0-0. She's got 3 goals today. St Mirren, congratulations to them, top of the table, as Ali said. It's downhill from now, but Stephen Robinson will be relishing that.
It'd be great if she would have asked Stephen Robinson that.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about him is he's good copy. Yeah. He's great to listen to. He's fairly pragmatic about the whole thing, whether it's a good result or a bad one.
So the first thing he does when he walks into the dressing room after the games, go, "Well, lads, well done, that's it."
Yeah, that's it. It's downhill from here.
Yeah.
But just on that point, and we've got to give him great credit, he's got, never mind the players, he's got a good work ethic. They like him, they want to play for him.
So professional in everything they do. So professional. Yeah, you've got to have that. You've got to have that kind of different blend of player. You've got to have the experienced guys as long with the youngsters. They're all buying into it. Don't get me wrong, Peter, you know, sometimes I'm saying to you it's a crucial part of the season at the beginning of the season you've got to win, but there's only 2 games going, but they're top of the league. I mean, St Mirren fans there, probably a decent crowd as well, although I will say, as I said to you there, it didn't look like an August day in Paisley, it looked more like a November day, but the gales were blowing wind, so it might have been a dodgy surface for them, but they're top of the league, and that's all it counts at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's an emphatic 4-0 win for Rangers today. Adam Binney watched it at Ibrox.
Full time at Ibrox, it finishes Rangers 4, Livingston 0. Rangers are off the mark in the Scottish Premiership with thanks to 4 goals and 4 first Rangers goals of 4 summer signings: Sam Lammers, Danilo Abdallah Sima and Kieran Dowell. Lammers getting the first after 10 minutes. Lovely team move involving Todd Cantwell, resulting in a shot from Cantwell, deflected back, found Lammers. He made no mistake of the finish. Cifuentes then thought that he was also going to get his first Rangers goal when he thundered in a volley in the centre of the box. That goal was disallowed after a VAR check for a handball from Leon Balogun. Rangers entered the break 1-up and didn't get their second until the 78th minute. That came through Danilo, a brilliant trademark cross from Borna Baric. It's found the head of the Brazilian and he nodded it into the bottom right hand corner with 6 minutes to go. Abdallah Sima, the substitute, then got his first in light blue. It was a bit of pinball in the penalty area. He made no mistake though with the finish, finding that near corner in off the post, and a 4th added by Kieran Dowell. Great counter attack move from Rangers, finding Dowell. The ball was slid to him on the left hand side as he battered it into the top corner. A convincing result and a performance much closer to what Michael Beale would expect and want from his Rangers side. At Ibrox it finishes Rangers 4, Livingston 0.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to it all. You know, when you score the goals, suddenly the mood can change. The narrative changes because there's the 3 points in the bag. And again, with that confidence, every time he takes them back onto the training pitch, as you well know, Ali, they then start to work on it. And then they start to get the style that he wants them to play.
Absolutely. You know, confidence is a key thing in all football, at any level, whatever league you're playing in. What you also want as well is the consistency of the same team, Peter. If you know you're playing every week, you know you've had a good game, the guys have had a good game a day, they want to go out and play the next game, the European game. That's what they want to be playing in. So if he can do that with them, although tactics might change because of the result, you know you want to hang your jacket up and you're putting that jersey on because you can get consistency, your confidence grows and you get better as a team. But just interesting there, we were kind of looking to see if he was going to mention between the 1-0 and the second goal, there was a long time in the game where maybe the Rangers fans maybe a wee bit restless, but it didn't look as if they were getting restless, and they've stuck by their team, and the guys, as you say, who have just come in, have scored the second, third and fourth.
Yeah, Rangers 4, Livingston 0, Ross County 2, St Johnstone 0, St Mirren 2, Dundee 1. That's how it finished in all 3 matches in the Scottish Premiership today. Elsewhere, Airdrieonians 2, Partick Thistle 1, Ayr United 1, Inverness Cally Thistle 0, Dundee United 1, Dunfermline 1, Queen's Park 2, Arbroath 1, and Wraith Rovers 3, Greenock Morton 2 is how it all finished in the Championship. Ali will be our main man in the Championship this season as well. Alloa 0, Stirling Albion 1, Annan Athletic 1, Montrose 3, Cove Rangers 2, Falkirk 2, Edinburgh City 1, Queen of the South 2, and Kelty Hearts 0, Hamilton Accies 2 in League 1. In League 2, it was Clyde 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 2, Dumbarton 1, Spartans 1, Forfar Athletic 0, Elgin City 0. No goals between Peterhead and Stenhousemuir, and Stranraer 1, East Fife 1. That is how it finished across all 4 divisions in Scotland. As far as the English Premier League is concerned, the early kick-off, it was Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 1, Bournemouth 1, West Ham United 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 4, Luton Town 1, Everton 0, Fulham 1, Sheffield United 0, Crystal Palace 1. We are probably 3 minutes away from Newcastle United taking on Aston Villa in the English Premier League as well. We were talking about Motherwell against Hibs. We'll hear from Lewis Miller, who was talking ahead of that match. We'll also look ahead to Hearts against Kilmarnock. Give us your prediction. How do you see the 3 games going tomorrow between Celtic and Aberdeen up there at Pittodrie? That should be a rip snorter. Really looking forward to seeing that one. Because quite simply, you want to see the other teams push them. them, push them, better than they did last season.
Absolutely.
Well, I can tell you, we talked about some of the results today, especially in the Scottish Premiership. It's going to be a tough season, I think, for Stephen McLean. I've mentioned it before. It wasn't good for them today up there at Dingwall, Ross County, getting the convincing win. Let's hear from the Saints manager on that defeat.
But they'll need to look over their shoulders soon, because we talk about getting players in and players back from injury, but people are getting their opportunities and people are playing there, so it's a hunger and a desire to go and do your job, and it is your job, and you've got to go and do the fundamentals. And you know what, it might take having to play young boys, because I'm not having that, so I'd rather play a 16-year-old than have what I've seen there today.
Well, that is a dramatic line, because, you know, when you're 2 games into a season and you're starting to call out some of the more experienced players, you know, I have on many a season watched players down tools for a manager.
That tells me everything that, you know, it's not going to, you know, he's under a bit of pressure there. Absolutely 100%. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it at Motherwell against Kilmarnock last season. Peter, you and I done the game for PLZ Soccer. We went over there, we watched a Motherwell side under Stevie Hamill that didn't want to play. That reminds me of that interview with Stevie Hamill that night. I don't think he's happy at all. He's maybe went in, said a few things. The guys will not be happy with it. He's now called it he's going to play 16-year-olds instead of them. The training ground's going to be fun on Monday. Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing about it as well is when you're at that level, what you get is a situation where you're trying to sign players and hope that they can hit the ground running for you. So any of those new players that he gets in before now in the transfer window, will they alter the form of St Johnstone? Will some of the older players or the more experienced players who haven't been doing it for him in the first couple of games, will they be on the bench or out of the squad? It's so difficult, because I think it's a lottery when you're dealing in sometimes free transfers, sometimes loan deals. You take a chance, Peter. You don't know, you know, you've got to have done your homework, you've got to fancy somebody before. Why has nobody else snapped him up? Is he going to try and get a couple of loan players in that are maybe happy to get away and play up there at this time of the season? Beautiful wee park, good surface at this time of the season. But it looked like a defeated man to me there, and I don't like to see that. Yeah, that's a worrying time for St Johnstone fans watching that defeat today again. But he's going to have to get something out of them. That's what managers are paid to do: get a trick out of a squad, use a bit of psychology, maybe come up with a different plan, a strategy. But St Johnstone's next match is against Celtic in the league. So, you know, when you're looking at trying to get any sort of momentum, a change in what's happening to you, the last thing you need to see is, you know, one of the top sides playing against you. And of course, Tommy says, don't wash your dirty laundry in public. Absolutely not. Keep it in-house. Pep Guardiola even done it the other night there. We didn't like that one, Peter, so keep it in-house. Yeah, absolutely. Give us your thoughts on the other matches. We mentioned there Motherwell Hibs tomorrow. We heard from Stuart Kettlewell. Lewis Miller, after the win in midweek in the Europa Conference League, is calling on all the Hibs fans, domestically and in Europe, to get right behind the team.
The atmosphere was unbelievable. Like I said, there was 13,000 people there, but it felt like 40. Like, it was so good for the fans to be on our side, and having that much energy around the stadium really gave the boys a lift. And like I said, if we can get that week in, week out, even for league games as well, it's just going to boost us even more. So it was a very, very great atmosphere, and fair play to their away fans as well. Really set the atmosphere as well. And look, we're very keen to go to Switzerland for that second leg, and obviously in more recent times the Motherwell away game. I thoroughly enjoyed that match at Easter Road. The atmosphere was great, and of course to get the goals when they did, I thought the last one from Abita was crucial. That third goal was crucial because he ran from the halfway line. Were you confident he was running through? I wasn't particularly confident, you know, and I thought, but a slight deflection, it just shows you take your chance. Slight deflection, he kept his cool, found the bottom corner, and that could be the goal that seals it for them. Although Servette will have players back, Lucerne will have players back as well, and I think they've sold out, haven't they, the return legs? So it's going to be a great atmosphere. I really want Hibs to play Aston Villa, do you not?
Of course, obviously because of the John McGinn connection and Tam might get his tickets, so you never know, Peter, you never know. I think, are you going down with him? Is that?
He wants the whole squad to go down there to Birmingham. I don't think we'll be back up for a couple of days. Can they actually see off Luzerne with a 3-1 advantage? Don't forget to keep across all our social media. We'll keep you right up to date with what's happening in those games. We'll get reaction from Hibs fans as well. Lots of people, William says, Peter, how do you think Liverpool will do this season? Well, unless they get their finger out and start making a few signings. They've had a couple, but I still think Liverpool need more than a few signings to be.
Hasn't one just preferred Chelsea to...
Yeah, Caicedo. I thought they were going to get him as well. He would have been a great buy. But I think...
For that price?
Yeah, I think, listen, that's what they're paying now.
I know.
50 million gets you a mediocre player. In fact, if you really want to cut down your budget, 30 million might get you Harry Maguire. That's the level of it. Harry Maguire was 89 million.
I know that.
I mean, that, honestly.
Harry Kane's gone for 86, 90, isn't he?
I mean, it's outrageous. Well, I'll tell you right now, and I did mention it earlier, some people might agree, might not agree with me on this, but Ange Postecoglou's got his work cut out at a club that's had 3 top drawer managers and sacked them all. And I'm talking about managers with a really good pedigree. Pochettino, Champions League final, 5 months later, bumped. Mourinho, winning trophies at every club he's been to. Tottenham, bumped in the semi-final before the League Cup final, so that they could get him out the door. That's what you're dealing with Joe Lewis and Daniel Levy. And then the next one, Antonio Conte, who just highlighted his rant was all about the attitude of some of the players. And now
Harry Kane.
Well, Harry Kane's gone, who's a guaranteed average 26, 27 goals a season.
Many bums, many season tickets does he sell? People just go to watch Harry Kane because they're not going to win a trophy, they just go to watch him. That's thousands of people go to watch him. And as you're saying, 90 million, whatever it is, does it get you 2 players for Spurs?
Yeah, I know.
It's bonkers.
And Son has just been announced as the captain of Spurs this season, but boy is he going to miss Harry Kane, because they had a telepathic understanding. Who was the best striker you played with alongside that really you worked well with?
It probably does.
Yeah, Gordon Dale.
A lot of people maybe don't realise how much of a reader of the game he was. He knew exactly where to be. He was just, as you say, the John Robertson, the penalty spot to the 18-yard line. I used to come off the park, Peter, and I'd be absolutely covered in muck, because the parks were terrible nowadays. And Dad would still with his white socks, because he didn't look as if he'd done a lot, but he'd scored 2 goals. And that was the level that he was at. He was this fantastic striker. Although playing at Motherwell, I absolutely thought Dougie Arnott was absolutely sensational.
Well, you're talking about a legend there. Great names from the past, of course. Let's not forget it. John Robertson, if you're asking him who his best partner was, Sandy Clark is on the tip of his tongue all the time, because he was just a great player as well. Scottish football, old players, legends, managers and players, we'll have them on exclusive one-to-ones, up to date with the modern day players. We're certainly going to be interviewing and giving you features right across the course of the season, and we'll continue our documentaries. The David Martindale documentary certainly went down very well with our viewers. There's lots more programming to come. The football show is just a part of the jigsaw, and hopefully you're going to enjoy it. We're going to endeavour to give you variety and quality right across our programming. Hearts against Kilmarnock. We'll hear from, by the way, Michael Beale as well in this game. Hearts take on Kilmarnock. Hearts obviously involved in that 2-1 defeat to Rosenborg. We'll hope they can take them back to Tynecastle this week coming and get into the next stage of European football. They're now back to domestic football. Derek McInnes is looking at Hearts, who have to play on this Sunday because of their European excursions. He'd love to be able to do that.
Oh, you never really know for sure. I think you can get an idea of what teams set up, but when you come up against clubs like Hearts, Celtic, Rangers, who've got huge squads, they have got these luxury and the benefits of being able to change personnel, but the system normally is the same, and that's what you try and work against really. But I think the focus for us is to concentrate on ourselves. Is it an advantage Hearts being in Europe? I'd rather be in Europe. I'd rather be playing a game tonight, and a bit envious that we're not. I remember how that felt and the excitement of playing in Europe, so I know how my players enjoyed it when they played. So,
yeah, I mean, he's talking about the fact that, I think Tam mentioned that he felt as if Aberdeen, Hearts and Hibs, if they were playing Thursday, Sunday, it's tough to go from a European standard game, high energy, of course the stakes are high, to then suddenly get back 3 days later looking at a domestic game that you have to perform in as well.
But Derek's saying he'd rather be in Europe.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's amazing. I'd rather always have played games, Peter. I didn't like it when we didn't have a game during the week. For me, it was a different fitness level. Bigger guys, you want to keep playing to keep your fitness the same. You know, the games bring that. I can understand where Tam's coming from, but I think the guys are super fit now. I think that's how you hit the ground running at the start of the season. These guys are coming back fit. When we used to come back for pre-season training, we weren't fit. That was the reason for it.
Yeah.
So the game's changed so much, but no, I would rather play. I would rather play in the week, during the week, and into the weekend.
Yeah, Newcastle United a goal up on Aston Villa as we speak. Tonali getting the goal. I think that was after 6 minutes. So Newcastle a goal up. He spent a bit of money. Eddie Howe had a good season last season. Can he replicate that? Can he get a bit of silverware in there? Of course, we heard from Pep Guardiola on yesterday's show talking about how difficult it is to even win a treble. It's sometimes a once in a lifetime opportunity. Manchester United did it in '99, and then of course Manchester City did it last season with the FA Cup, the league title and the European Cup, the Champions League to boot. It's no mean feat.
I like seeing that when a guy signs for the club. They've put a lot of money into him. He was fantastic for AC Milan, wasn't he? Absolutely brilliant, and he's came and he's scored. That's brilliant. I like seeing that. I like seeing guys that they really put their faith in and coming and doing the business for the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your thoughts on the results today? What about tomorrow? How do you see it all going in the 3 matches that we are going to be looking forward to? You'll get all the details right across the social media on PLZ Soccer. Hit the subscribe button, download the app. It's all there at your fingertips as well. Our reporters are out at the games. Adam Biddy will be up there at Pittodrie. Patrick Mullen will be there for Hearts Kilmarnock as well, and Kerry will be there for Motherwell Hibs tomorrow. So they're certainly putting in the miles, and of course bringing us the latest reports and reaction from all the games as well. So really looking forward to that. Okay, Aberdeen against Celtic. I have it tight, 2-1.
2-1, I've said 2-0.
Yep, okay. Hearts against Kilmarnock. I think Hearts, I've got them to edge at 2-1.
I've got 1 each.
Right, you've got a draw there. And Motherwell against Hibs, I've got 1 each.
See, that's a tough one. I've been to a couple of Hibs games there, Peter, over the past few seasons. Hibs have done okay, but just off the back of that European game, I don't want to, I hate that because I don't want to say 1 each because it's the score you're going for.
Yeah. No, you can go. Tam's literally trying to copy me every day of the week.
I'll go 1 each as well.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call. Hibs, obviously, I think Hibs, like Rangers, have got, Lee Johnston's been backed heavily in the transfer market. I don't think you can moan about the players that he's been allowed to sign, and especially for transfer fees. It's been a while since we've been talking about transfer fees in our game in Scotland, so long may it continue. We're adding that little bit of quality. I'd love to see more quality from Scottish players playing on a regular basis as well, but he's been backed, and Hibs...
Have Hibs get the squad to maybe rest a couple of guys for that European game, or did he do that, or does he go out and try and... You've got to keep winning, Peter, haven't you?
Yeah. I'll tell you where Hibs' problem's coming, and I'm not fooled in any capacity, and I don't want to be negative on such a good result in midweek, but I can tell you Lucerne could have scored 2 or 3 goals in that game. I think, to be perfectly honest with you, the back line needed to be addressed. It hasn't been addressed, even with Will Fish in and loan from Manchester United. I think they're relying too heavily on the old guard of Hanlon and Stevenson, and right now what's happening is they're giving up goal chances all the time.
I agree with you. I think the great servants to the club, haven't they? They've been brilliant, but if you've not got any young guys coming in there to fill the positions and move forward, I think they rely totally on their pace going forward. And it's a case of sometimes it's Celtic as well, we're scoring more goals than you. That seems to be the way with Brendan Rodgers. It didn't seem to be underhand, but they seem to be more solid. But I'm just interested to see, sorry for going back to that game again, Peter, but I'm just interested to see the partnership at the back. I know Greg Taylor gets a bit of stick as well, and they're looking for a left back. I think he did smashing in there brilliantly.
Yeah.
I think it's the left side of the centre half that they need to concentrate on. So a bit the same as Hibernian.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see, it's not rocket science. I don't know if there's anybody who still embraces the code of some of the best managers right across the history of British football. All of them built it from the back. She set out, I think, in the early hours of the morning. She just got into her sports car, put the hood down, and headed towards Dingwall. Kerry, were you happy enough with what you witnessed up there?
Yes, definitely happy enough with what I've seen here in Dingwall today, Peter. It was an absolute, the Ross County, it was a dominant display from them in the whole game, to be honest. The Johnstone weren't in it at all, not many chances created. 2-0 victory for Ross County, definitely better than what they have showed at the end of last season. Malky Mackay was more than happy with the display of his players today.
We're listening to was quite simply the one thing that worried both myself and Ali Graham was the comments coming from Stephen McLean, which quite simply he's not happy with maybe some of the more experienced players. Looks as if the axe is going to fall, but when you do that so early on in the season, sometimes you can alienate the players that are playing for you now by criticising them.
Yeah, definitely, Peter. He wasn't happy with the display that his players showed him today. He said, obviously, you would have heard, he would rather play young boys, 16, 17-year-old boys. To see that passion and desire on the pitch was what he didn't see today. He's hoping that he does get the time to get into that transfer window. He knows where he wants to go, but he just needs the time to do it, he told us.
Yeah, if there's one player that stood out today for you, Kerry, was there one man that you just thought was man of the match?
I think it's got to be between the two goal scorers, Peter. It's either Kyle Turner, he took 5 minutes, he came off the bench for Jan Danda in the first half. Only took him 5 minutes to get the ball in the back of the net, and then Conor Randall, it was a terrific strike, had his goal in the second half. 6 minutes it took him to double his side's lead, so it's got to be a toss-up between those two, I would say.
Yeah, sometimes I'm only offering this as an opportunity for you. Sometimes we just stay up in Dingwall and make a complete weekend of it. I don't know if that's on the cards for you, Kerry, or is it the long drive down in the sunshine?
It's a long drive home for me today, Peter, about 3.5 hours, almost 4, but I'll get back to Glasgow eventually, I'm sure.
Kerry, as ever, has a great strategy, which is go up there early to Dingwall in the sunshine because it's somebody else's turn when it hits winter in December. Usually mine, Ali. Yeah.
Been up there, that's years and years and years ago when they started the World Cup run. That was it up in Dingwall, so it's a special place in my heart up there.
Yeah, didn't have average speed cameras up there though.
No, they didn't, and shut the gates, didn't they, when you were coming down the road?
Absolutely, which Kerry is banking on. Great that she's made the journey up there, and that just shows you the commitment. Great to hear from Kerry, who'll be heading down from Dingwall. Absolutely superb. Watched Ross County with a very good win today. I mean, it's just fantastic for Malky. I don't see them being involved in the battle at the bottom. If anything, I think 9th, 10th will be ideal for them.
Absolutely. Home's that fortress again, Peter. We keep talking about that. Big Jordan White seems to be doing the business for them as well, when they go away for home. Big striker, a big physical side.
Yeah.
And they play not bad football as well, so Big Malky will do okay, but as I said to you, as long as he can stay away from the VAR decisions this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul says drive safely, Kerry. And William says, yep, in fact Danny says the reporters must dread getting Dingwall. But listen, it's a good wee trip up there, and I think the one thing about our reporters, and of course all of us on the PLZ soccer team, is you've got to make the journey to see all the teams in the SPFL, because you want to give a balanced view on the other teams, and that's what we're going to do throughout the season, as we did last season and as we have done for the last 10 years. 4-0 to Rangers today. A better result, the bounce back from last week's loss to Kilmarnock. Certainly there were signs of good football on offer in their win over Servette. So let's hear from the Rangers manager, Michael Beale.
Listen, a mixed bag. It's been a rough week behind the scenes, okay? So in terms of the players going into what is your first home game in the league in a season, we're under a little bit of pressure, or more than a little bit of pressure. And for the new guys this week, they probably rode every emotion. That's why at the end of the week, when I pick the bones out of it, I'm going to be positive more than pessimistic in terms of one or two areas, because the new guys have scored goals now. Dujon's had his debut, Jose was excellent, and Jack Butland's got his first clean sheet as well. So all in all, the week's ended a lot better than what it started.
Well, that's a wee insight from the Rangers manager about, dealing with the upset, the knee-jerk reaction, that criticism that comes your way of losing your opening league game, and then suddenly people are looking for a real fight back in in European football.
Yeah, but a pressure on him there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He must have been under pressure this week. He knows fine well that the guys that he's signed need to hit the ground running. And then he mentions every one of them scored. And then his goalkeeper said 2 tremendous saves, one especially down at his left-hand post, slight deflection. So, he'll be delighted what's happened this week. Now he can build on the European game, Peter. He's got his team off the foot of the table. They're up the table now. And he'll need to try and build on that and try and get through to the next round of this Champions League. Yeah, Lee McCulloch said last week on the programme that he felt as if the Old Firm games this season could be really the defining moments in the season. They could become the defining moments on the basis that Rangers and Celtic start hammering everybody around them, but I don't see that being the case. Hopefully teams, Aberdeen especially, are going to try and do it tomorrow. And Rangers, and every single Rangers fan's hoping Aberdeen do it tomorrow, because then the league starts to get a wee bit of a shake-up. Yeah. It's looking just now as if there's a few teams that could maybe upset the Old Firm. But as the season goes on and the Old Firm build momentum, that's when you're going to find out, and then it might do what Lee says, and especially Lee's played in these Old Firm games. So he knows what it's like, to compete at that level. So it'll be very interesting to see what the results are going to be tomorrow and where we stand tomorrow night in the league tables. Yeah, what did you make of what Michael Beale had to say there? If you're a Rangers fan, you're hearing from him on the programme, giving us his insight into that 4-0 win over Livingston. A lot of debutants and a lot of new signings. I really want to try and hit the ground running and make a real impression. As Ali mentioned earlier in the programme, if you can get in there and get the fans on your side early doors, it makes it easy to settle into the city, to settle into the team. Your confidence grows, and as Ali will tell you, as a striker, when you start scoring goals early at a club, you just feel as if you're unstoppable at times. Absolutely. As I said to you earlier on, Peter, at the top of the show, when Tommy McLean says first impressions last. Played against Rangers, made my debut, hit one for 35 yards into the top corner, and Andy Gorham threw up his fingertip, tipped onto the bar. So I obviously didn't make first impressions last, because my time at Motherwell only lasted a season, but if that had went in, then you never know. So you've got to go out there, you've got to get the fans on your side right away. That's, in any job, you've got to impress your boss, you've got to impress the supporters. Yeah. And today, maybe they guys have done that and turned the corner a wee bit. Fine margins indeed. Newcastle United 2, Aston Villa 1. What a game it is there. There was an equaliser from Diaby, and then now I think Isaac has just put them back in front again. 2-1 Newcastle Aston Villa. Elsewhere in the English Premier League, Arsenal 2-1 against Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth 1, West Ham 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 4, Luton Town 1, Everton 0, Fulham 1, and Sheffield United 0, Crystal Palace 1. Join us on Monday if you can for the football show. We're going to try and bring you not only different guests, we'll have irregular pundits, and on Friday we'll also have Lee McCulloch with us on a regular basis to look ahead to the SPFL fixtures. Monday's guest always looks back the way at what we've been talking about over the course of the weekend's results, and we'll have the managers, the players' reaction. We'll have one-to-ones coming your way. There's the start of the women's football show. If you are into women's football, you can watch that. If you subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, you'll see our exclusive one-to-ones. You'll also see the start of the new Journos programme, where journalists will sit around here and shoot the breeze on the burning issues in football, not only domestically, here in the UK, European football and world football, and the implications of football changing face of it, certainly financially. There'll be lots of good questions asked among the journos who join us here on the couch. Lots of these programmes, including Kerry Pollock's preview on a Saturday morning, are there for you to digest and enjoy. PLZ Soccer Football Channel, which is expanding and offering you a real variety in programming, and hopefully you'll buy into what we are doing here. We're offering you far more than some other
radio or indeed television channels are offering you. We're backing Scottish football 100%, and we'll still have European football to look forward to as well, Ali, hopefully with more than just Celtic and Rangers.
Yeah, we want all the teams doing well this week. We want to get behind the Scottish game, and we want to get up that coefficient. That's what we want in Scotland, Peter. We're all Scotland supporters, and that's the way we want to be. We want all our Scottish teams to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of the teams that are closely, some of the countries that are certainly building up their coefficient, we want to stay ahead of them. We want to stay in that top 10 to make sure that we've got our big clubs involved in group stage football in European competition, because with that, Ali, comes a nice little kitty of money.
Yes, and they need that kitty of money going over to Switzerland, Peter, because I believe it's about £12 a pint of beer for the supporters. The Hibs supporters and Rangers supporters are heading that way, so I think they're going to need a few quid, but we want them to get through. We want them to get through the tie.
At £12 for a pint, it's that time when you look at Ali and you look at Tam McManus and you say, there are 3 straws here, let's sip on this pint for the next hour and listen to the Swiss band. Anyway, let's talk about the highs of managers winning games. What about the lows? Here's David Martindale reflecting on a 4-0 defeat to Rangers.
Because up until the second goal, I thought it was... the game could have swung. The Rangers looked like they might score another one, and we looked like we could maybe nick one back. So I'm frustrated, but proud of the players up to a certain level. But I was disappointed for the players as well in the changing room, because I could see how much they'd put into the game.
Long periods of time where he kept it at 1-0, and at that point you're always hoping that you can maybe, as he said, nick one to put the fear in the fans, but it didn't materialise.
They nearly did. And Butland had to spread himself well for two occasions and tip one round the post, as we said earlier, Peter. So in that time you're hoping you get a wee half chance. But what do? Do you stick a twist? Do you try and get that equaliser and push on with 15 to go, 20 to go, and then the floodgates open at the other end and Rangers got up and score 3 goals? Yeah, I think the highlight of today, and I'm sure some people won't be angry with me for suggesting this, but I think the day belongs to St Mirren, because they're top of the table. It doesn't get any better than that. 2 wins out of 2. Good win against Hibs last week, following it up at home with the goals, of course, that Alison mentioned. Shaughnessy, okay, it's an OG, but Mandarin in injury time at the end of the first half makes it 2-0. Despite the comeback from Dundee in the second half, they just couldn't get the all-important equaliser, and for the Saints fans, it's dreamland at the moment. And who's to say they'll not be there? Instead, the only way is down, as Alison said in the report. Yes. Who's to say they won't remain there come the next game? Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at some of the signings that Stephen Robinson has made, he certainly will be hoping that they can keep this all going. It's a great win for them today against Dundee, and on the horizon, the League Cup, they've got a home tie against Motherwell. They've got Aberdeen at home, they've got Livingston, Motherwell, Hearts, Kilmarnock, and before that, then they've eventually got Rangers. There's a whole batch of games there that they could think they could win. Absolutely. Really interesting in what Stuart Kettle was saying earlier, Peter, about the 50 players in the squad. I wonder how many St Mirren run with and what his ethos is on, getting guys into the first team. It'd be really interesting to see what their squad numbers are. Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget to join us on Monday if you can, as we look back over all the weekend's matches and get the assessment of Tam McManus, Alan Ruff, and Neil Lennon will join us on the programme as well. And with European football hopefully coming up late September, we will be across not only the Champions League but Europa League and the Conference League as well. Let's have a look and sum up the Scottish Premiership, the Cinch Premiership today. Rangers 4, Livingston 0, Ross County 2, St Johnstone 0, St Mirren 2, Dundee 1. The Saints are top of the table at the moment. Aberdeen against Celtic, and Hearts, of course, taking on Kilmarnock. And let's not forget, it's Motherwell against Hibs. 3 good games to look forward to tomorrow as well, Ali. The pick of them, I think, for me would be the Motherwell Hibs game. I think the surface is fantastic, conducive for great football. And of course, both of us have went for a 1-0, I think. Is that right? Yeah, 1-0 is exactly what we've gone for. Thanks to so many people for offering their support. Some people just a little bit, quizzing us on some of the live shows. We will have live shows coming on the programme and on the channel, so you will be able to engage with us in a live situation as well. But we just thought that coming up this season, the channel wants to expand. We want to offer variety, and we want you to come along
along with us for that journey. Those games tomorrow, I can tell you, our reporters will be out at those matches, bringing you all the latest from the 3 Scottish Premiership matches. And look out on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and of course our website for the managers and players' interviews. You're getting them first, certainly beating not only the newspapers but many of the broadcasters, to getting these out exactly when you want them. And if you download the app, you get it at your fingertips as well. As far as the predictor has gone, if Rangers had kept it at 3-0, I would have been on a right. I would have been on a. I know. I was just thinking there's points there to be had, Ali.
Absolutely.
And then of course, listen, I'm taking nothing away from Ross County. They get the 2-0 win. I did predict St Mirren to win 2-1. But the worrying thing, I think, for the highs of Michael Beale and what he said, and for the highs of Stephen Robinson and his performance, the worrying thing from some of the interviews that we got coming in, Stephen McLean certainly not happy with what he witnessed from St Johnstone.
I didn't like that. I thought that was pretty worrying on his behalf. I don't know if the hierarchy will be looking at that, Peter, and saying, what's happening there? Has he lost the dressing room already? Surely not after 2 games. I think if I'm a senior player, I go and ask the manager what his comments were about. But I think, sometimes, as we've said, you've got to keep that in-house and keep that in the dressing room, sort it out on the training park on the Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. We will see how that all develops. But listen, that's the worrying thing, Ali. Just before we go, if it's anything like last season, we know when we head into the winter months, suddenly chairman, owners, chief executives, they all get jittery.
Yes, and the fans speak, and then I don't know about the St Johnstone fans, if I've got any comments for them what they think of the current situation. But I would be pretty worried. He needs to change something. He has to change his formation. He has to try something, Peter, to try and get 3 points on the board. And he's going to find himself detached before what? Beginning of September?
Yeah, absolutely. You can hear more from Stephen McLean. You can hear from an ecstatic Stephen Robinson. I think the result of the day, I'm going to give it to St Mirren. 2-1 win, top of the table in the Scottish Premiership. Doesn't get any better than that after 2 games. What a start for the Saints. Rangers, they had to bounce back from last week's defeat to Kilmarnock. They did it emphatically with a 4-0 win. Michael Beale said to us on this programme, it's been a tough week, but the players have responded. How will Aberdeen respond to the challenge of Celtic at Pittodrie? We've got our reporters up there. And of course, over and above that, Motherwell against Hibs and Hearts against Kilmarnock. That's the Scottish Premiership for you. And on Monday, you can join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, where we will analyse the weekend's results. The regulars will be here. Neil Lennon will join us, and hopefully you can too. From Ali and myself, Peter Martin, and all our team in the background who helped make this show possible today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button, and we will speak to you on Monday.